Oh boy, how times have changed in sports, Diesel. It is really wild to see where we are in society when it comes to how athletes act and carry themselves on the diamond, on the football field, on the basketball court. A little bit different way to start this show today rather than your typical sports segment, maybe a more opinionated segment. That's what we do. We mix it up here on Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and we welcome you into a Tolo Thursday show on this beautiful day it is.
Incredible.
It's like 80-something degrees.
Banner day, 85 degrees.
We're inside.
Yeah.
What a shame that is.
Hey, give it 10 more degrees, we'll be saying, thank God we're inside.
That's true. That's true. Appreciate you being a part of the show. But this is where we start today, Diesel, because I saw this video online yesterday, and this video has now made its rounds many times in the past couple of days. I think one of the most viral tweets, one of the most viral paths it took was when Curb Street retweeted this tweet, and it got, 3.8 million insights, 3.8 million views. What are we talking about? What am I talking about? Danny Cannell tweeted this video out. And I think this is a fun topic. So I could be wrong, but I think this could be fun. And I do appreciate, I want to preface by saying, I do appreciate people who disagree. Just because you disagree doesn't mean you can't call in or text in or have an opinion. But there's a video going around with a kid hitting a home run. And Diesel, as soon as he hits the home run, I retweeted this video for those that want to see it. He slams his bat down, not a bat flip, absolutely slams his bat down, takes a trip around the bases, jumping, dancing, jumping with the third base coach, celebrating, and then comes home, slam dunks a basketball into a goal. It goes wild. It's a viral video, and I wanted to bring that to the airwaves to ask you, Diesel, and the Tolos out there. And again, you don't have to have the same opinion Diesel and I do. We welcome feedback of the opposite mind. Diesel and I may disagree on this. Who knows? But you've seen the video now, Diesel. Do you believe in your heart of hearts, and you are a little bit older than me, a little bit more old school, right? I call you the old man on the show.
I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, you'll take it. It's a compliment. It's a compliment.
It's not age, it's experience.
Yeah, and why you're wise. Do you think
I've never been called that before? I've been called a wise ass, but I've never been called wise.
Do you think we've lost our way a little bit when it comes to these player celebrations?
Yeah. Have you? I'm sure you're familiar with this, Cole, because you're up on all the lingo. Maxing. It's usually max with like 2 X's, I think, is what they do it. This is just sports maxing. It's bro maxing. It's just losing your mind and losing all sense of decorum in a situation where it's like, come on, man, act like you've done this before. Act like you've hit a home run before. It's embarrassing, honestly. It's embarrassing for the kid. It's embarrassing for his coaches. It's embarrassing to the other team. It's embarrassing to his family. It's embarrassing to anyone and everyone that planted this idea in his head and made him think that this is okay and this is how you behave on a baseball field.
If you don't know the video, you can find it on my Twitter. I retweeted it. It's just a couple of tweets down. By the way, Diesel, lost you in the stream. I know you got a new toy over there. You got a new toy. Tell us about that real quick. You want to tell that story since we're just going off path today?
Yeah, I was on a phone call as I was gathering my things to leave the house to come to work today, and somehow I walked out without my work laptop. Just don't have it. So I have 2 choices. I either do the show from my phone or I had to scramble around the building to try to find a laptop that could work. So I'm working on getting back into it right now.
It's tough when you only have one little laptop.
We have so many things that are connected to Google Chromes and websites with logins that you expect to be able to kind of get together quickly. Well, I don't have that on this laptop. So I'm working on getting all of that going all at the same time. But I walked right out without my laptop. Unbelievable. How does that even happen?
You've got your email, you've got the rundown, you've got the text line, you've got, like on my side, I've got Amperwave where we upload our podcast, Twitter, ESPN, Google Drive, the text line, the stream, a million different tabs. I will tell you, it is very difficult to do the show off of your phone. I did that one time, and it is near impossible. It was recently, too, when you were out. I was sitting on that side and I left my laptop. Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad.
I've never done this. We've been on the show now. At least it wasn't show 500 that I did this.
Yeah,
on.
that'd have been funny.
That would have been funny. So that's okay.
That would have been funny.
I am working on it though. I can't believe that happened.
So Tolos, again, if you just tuned in, I encourage you to go to my Twitter at @TheColeBryson. I retweeted this video yesterday. And I want to hear from you at 844-326-3663 what your opinion is when it comes to excessive celebrating, particularly with baseball, but in sports in general. This new society, this new culture is kind of modernized and made us okay with these excessive celebrations. JB on the YouTube stream says, Tolo, lay the bat down, run around the bases, touch home plate, and go back to the dugout and stop acting like a pompous behind. He says, by the way, Danny Cannell's an idiot. Puppy
Why?
Monkey Bailey. I don't know. It's a good question.
Why is Danny Cannell an idiot?
Puppy Monkey Baby Tolo on YouTube. That's a mouthful. Says, Tolo, bacon, jam, butter with Parmesan garlic fries or low country boil for dinner, guys. Both are available to me. Where in the world are you at, by the way? Did you just see? I don't know if you saw it or not. You're not on the stream. Now you are on the stream. Puppy Monkey Baby says, he has two dinner options: bacon jam burger with Parmesan garlic fries or low country boil for dinner. Both are available. I'd always go low country boil. That's just me. I can't turn down. I mean, a burger's good, but
you can get a burger at a lot
get a
of
burger
places.
anyway.
You can't get low country boil.
Where are you at, by the way?
Unless you make it yourself most of the time.
Let us know where you are. Good to see OSNTSM on the YouTube stream as well. Very, very jealous of wherever you are, Puppy Monkey Baby. Tolo.
Rad.
Yeah, hard life he's living. Hard life. But anyways, yeah, I want our Tolos to see this video at @TheColeBryson is where I tweeted it out. So here's what Danny Cannell said in the original tweet, and then Kirk Herbstreit retweeted it and put his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Danny said, the coaches and parents who allow this to go on are the problem. Instead of teaching kids how to play the game the right way and show respect for the opponent, they're worried about getting viral attention. Embarrassing. So that video itself, from Danny Cannell, Diesel had 6 million views. Kirk Herbstreit retweeted it. You know, Kirk's pretty big voice. He said, how is this celebrated? What the hell is wrong with people? Where are the coaches, umpires? What parent in their right mind wouldn't drag their son off the field if he did that? Pathetic. What makes this topic of conversation very interesting, Diesel? And I had him in my mentions as well after retweeting Kirk's response. There are a lot of people who don't have a problem with this.
Yeah.
Do you find that surprising at all, though?
No, I'm not surprised by that at all. You know, we are in the era where very few people want to have any kind of decorum. They actively dislike people who behave with any kind of decorum, wherever it is, right? I think it started with wearing pajama pants to Walmart in the middle of the afternoon. That's where it started, and this is where we are now. Kids out there jumping and chest bumping and all this because you hit a home run. Great, man. Is that your first time ever being out of the house? First time it's ever happened to you?
Yeah.
First time anything cool's ever happened to you? Jeez.
Yeah. It is a sign of the times that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Danny was right. It's all about social media. It's all about being seen. It's all about the highlight reel. It's all about what you can put on your huddle. It's all about what you seem like you are on social media. That's the way the young players, not all of them, but that's the way a lot of young players in modern sports operate. They want the picture to go on their Instagram. They want the highlight to go on their Twitter. I see it every week. Doesn't matter the sport, right? That's just the world we live in. And when you hit a home run and you do what that player did by throwing the bat down, running the bases, Diesel, celebrating, jumping, slam dunking, actual basketball goal at the end. For me,
I forgot about that part.
You forgot about the basketball goal.
I did forget about that.
Here's where I have a problem more than anything. I think, number one, it's a bad look. But the number one reason I think it's a bad look is because I believe I didn't play sports at a high level, but I did play sports growing up and still watch sports just like you do in the Tolos. I believe you should have respect for your opponent.
Yeah.
And when I see videos like that, it's very hard for me to believe that we're teaching the younger generation to respect the opponent when you pull shenanigans like that after you hit a home run?
Where was the umpire? Why didn't the umpire throw this kid out of the game the moment he threw the bat?
Yeah.
Throw him out of the game. Boom.
Yeah.
You're gone. You're out of here. Here's the thing, though. Used to be, and this is even back before my day, but like the whole back in my day conversation, if somebody acted like an idiot in public, especially a kid, you as an adult, didn't even matter if it was your kid. You were pretty much allowed or encouraged to jerk that kid up by the back of his shirt and tell him that's not how we act.
And nowadays, you put your hand on the kid,
you go to jail. But here's the thing. If you, let's just say there's another parent in the crowd who stands up and says, who the hell's kid is this? Why are you letting him behave like this? Coach, you should be ashamed of yourself. Umpire, you should be thrown out of this game as well. Guess what? You get in a fight with the parent in a parking lot because it's not your position to parent their kid. Guess what? Nobody's parenting that kid. That's the problem.
Well, you're not wrong. And look, you said something that we all know is true. And I don't mean to upset any parents out there because I don't have kids. So I don't want to sound like I know what I'm talking about because I sure as heck don't have kids. But I will say this. I think we've lost our way a little bit when it comes to the parenting. I think we have. I could be, look, if you disagree, I would love to hear your disagreement. And I totally respect that because like I said, I don't have one kid. But I do think it all starts at home. It all starts with the mom and the dad. And when you act like this, it just makes sports not fun anymore. It doesn't make it fun, Diesel, and that's where I have a problem.
Well, it's not like the warning signs haven't been there for years and years and years. Anybody ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah.
Like we were told by Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead of all things, that this was coming in the future. Have you ever seen that movie? They have a sweaty, jacked up, pumped up bodybuilder doing the news.
Yeah.
And they warned us of this in the show South Park with PC Principal, this big jacked up bro maxing kind of principal.
Mm-hmm.
Like they told us these kind of idiots were coming down the pipe. And nobody looked at that and said, ooh, we got to do something to fix that before it gets too bad. We're just here now. We're living in this world now.
JB on the YouTube stream says, all these celebrations are moronic. Marcus Lattimore would score a touchdown, hand the ball back to the ref, and jog to the sideline like he's been here before. If I had a son and he did that, hot mess, I'd went on the field to the dugout, and you're coming with me, boy. And he'd get that behind taken to the woodshed, says JB on the YouTube stream.
Good for you.
Let's go to the phone lines, 844-326-3663. If you did just tune into the show, you can see the video that I am referring to at the Cole Bryson on Twitter. It's a video of a baseball player hitting a home run and absolutely going ballistic with his celebration. Mm-hmm. Tim, to lead things off. Tim, have you seen the video? Are we wrong? How do you feel?
No, but I've seen similar, and I've been listening. I haven't actually seen the video, and I'm a bit torn on how I feel about this. So I graduated in the 2010 class of high school, so I'm in between kind of what y'all are talking about. However, if it's a random game on a Tuesday at 12 o'clock in the first inning, that's bogus. If you're playing your rivals and it's a walk-off, dude, you better disrespect the other team. I don't know what you're talking about.
Tim, why does it matter? Why does one situation give you the right to be a disrespectful a-hole when the other doesn't?
Not disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. You just said it's your responsibility to disrespect the other team. Those were your words, not mine.
Okay, because the stakes are different. Like, what do you mean? What's the difference?
So,
you're playing to nobody.
So you just said you said being disrespectful is okay in certain situations.
Sure.
No, it's not.
Yeah, this isn't
no,
golf.
It's not.
Well,
this isn't golf.
And Tim, I think this conversation has become so subjective to where everybody has a different opinion on it. And I think a lot of it depends on how you were raised, what era you came up in, and how you feel about sport. If you feel like that's a part of the game, maybe you have no problem with it. I don't know if you've seen the video that we're referring to. Let me be very clear. Tim, I don't have a problem with celebration. I like celebration. I actually think in the NFL, they changed the rule back to where you can celebrate now. I like that. There's a difference, though, with me in a celebration and disrespecting the game and the opponent. And when you throw your bat down, not a bat flip, absolutely throw it down.
I agree with that.
Throw it down, come back to home plate. They bring a basketball, go out the home plate, you slam dunk. To me, that's just disrespecting the game and the opponent, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I will say there are times, like I will say that I love the game of ball, and it's not golf, and you got to be able to let loose at some points. Bat tosses are good, bat slamming, no, you're right.
The game of ball, which game of ball are we talking about here? Because there's basketball, football, baseball, soccer ball.
The game of ball is baseball.
Okay.
In the real world.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's not golf, and it's not a gentleman's sport anymore, right? I mean, we've been long past the gentlemanliness. And generally speaking, yeah, have respect for your opponents. But if it's your rival, dude, oh, man, shove that crap in their face. I mean, you know, we didn't talk to my rival schools. We didn't, flirted with their girlfriends.
Well,
right?
Tim, go watch the video. You'll see just how extra it was. I mean, he slams the bat, runs around the bases, meets up with a coach between third and home, and does the simultaneous jump and lock arms, like hook arms together. And then as he comes to home plate, somebody tosses him a basketball then they just bring a basketball goal out of nowhere, and he alley-oop slams the basketball. I mean, that's way above and beyond.
Tim,
I don't care who you're playing
Thanks
against.
for the phone call, Tim. Very appreciate the feedback and the phone call.
All right. I will stay on the air.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Even if you agree or disagree with Diesel and I, we appreciate the phone call. Love both sides of it. I will say, before we get to the next caller, there's a difference. For me, there's a difference in celebration and crossing the line, taking it overboard. Mm-hmm. I just feel like if we continue to cross the line and take it overboard, where does it stop? That's where I love celebration. I love sport. I know how hard sport is, but I do think there's a difference in celebration and crossing the line. Let's go to Mac from Woodruff. What do you think, Mac?
I can't disagree with you gentlemen more. I mean, these are kids, guys, first and foremost. I disagree with a lot of things you guys said, but these are kids. Second of all, to draw an indictment against the parents just because the kids having a little fun on the field.
Terrible parents.
I think that's totally out of line. That's
Why?
totally out of line.
Why?
There's nothing about what this guy did on the field that says he's a bad kid in school, he's a bad kid in the public, he disrespects adults. And
so whose job is it to teach kids how to treat other people with respect? Is that a parent's job, coach's job, principal's job, pastor's job? Whose job is that?
Okay, so you think that's disrespectful, but it's okay for a pitcher to take what a hitter does some kind of way and then take the ball into his own hands and go at the guy's head the next time he comes up.
So you're talking about No. You're talking about a hypothetical. We're talking about what actually happened. Let's not talk about hypotheticals because that's irrelevant to the conversation. Let's talk about what really happened.
We don't have to talk about a hypothetical. There's nothing wrong with the kid there. The kid's having fun. He's a kid. He's not an adult. He's not mature. He's a kid. He has time to grow and learn from it. But the fun police, Diesel, yo-yos like you, why the game of baseball almost died in the first place.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm responsible for killing baseball.
No,
not gambling, not the Black Sox, not everything else. That I'm responsible. All these things, baseball almost died before I was born, but I'm responsible.
You feel like, we just hit a home run, run the bases, go to the dugout. That's it. The kid can't have any fun. And what are you mad for? It's just what the game has turned into, man. Just let the kids have fun, let loose. I mean, I'm pretty sure if the other team did it, they have something even more egregious as a celebration.
Again, hypothetical, irrelevant
Mac,
hypothetical.
Let me share my opinion with you, Mac. Listen, number one, appreciate the phone call. Number two, I don't have a problem with having fun. I love having fun in sport. I think that's probably one of the, I wouldn't say number one, but sports are supposed to be fun, right? They're supposed to be fun. I just feel as if, and again, you said that you disagree with everything that we said. I feel as if, I want to get your thoughts on this. I feel as if when you celebrate, how you celebrate and the manner and extent of which you carry out that celebration, I think that's important, right? And look, I want to be very clear. Neither one of us ever said that kid's a bad kid. That never came out of my mouth, and I don't think it came out of Diesel's mouth. I just believe that when you do celebrate the manner in which the player did, at some point, I think it crosses a line. Now, Mac, what's interesting is that line's different for everybody, right? That line's different for everybody. You might not think it's crossing the line. I do think it's crossing the line. So I think it's interesting to see where people draw the line, if that makes sense.
I mean, I don't have anything. I don't see anything what the kid did was wrong. He didn't point at the pitcher. He didn't point at other players. If you look at the video again, when he rounds third base, the third baseman from the other team gave him a 5. What are we talking about? Like,
so bringing a basketball goal onto the field is not above and beyond.
Diesel, you did say the kid was a bad kid, because now you're implying that nobody's raising the kid. Like, he don't have home training.
He doesn't. He clearly doesn't. So bringing a basketball goal onto a baseball field is totally normal, okay, in your mind?
Oh, So you automatically assume that he brought the basketball? No,
I didn't say that. The team brought it out onto the field. The team brought it out on the field, but it was clearly planned and choreographed. So it was planned in advance.
Why are we just coming down on the kid? If anything, why not be mad at the coach? There's the adult. Hey, we're only going to go but so far with this. Why?
I did admonish the coach. I admonished the coach. I admonished the umpire. I admonished the parents, and I admonished the kid. Everybody is responsible here. It takes a village. What's that old saying? It takes a village to raise a kid. The entire village failed this kid. Every single one of them.
It's not. So that's the kid's fault, you're saying?
Yeah. It's still what is he? 15 years old? I mean, you're not rolling around with no concept of right and wrong at that age. It means you weren't taught it at this until this point in your life.
The fact that you think that this is just so egregious that this even has to be a topic in itself just shows it's a non-topic. It's a non. You guys are making a mountain.
Well, it is a topic. We've been talking about it for 22 minutes. So we've had 5 phone calls on it. Everybody wants to talk about it. It's a hot button topic.
Why? What's your name?
It's real. I mean, for you it is because you don't like it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's for you it is because you don't like it. But I really don't understand what the problem is. Like I said, the kid didn't disrespect the pitcher. He didn't point at him. He didn't stare him down. None of this stuff that we talk about when we talk about real things of disrespect that turn into like a pitcher going at a batter the next time he's up. None of that happened. And like, again, these are kids. So, all right, if you want to blame the adults, then blame the adults. You can blame the coach. Start there, and it should end there. But if the coach is okay with it, then it's fine. Take your problem to the coach of the team, not the kids. The kids are only doing what adults allow. Can we agree on that?
No, I do. I agree that. So I agree, Mac, that the kid does what the kid does what the adult allows. Sometimes the kid has judgment, and you know what, Mac? In this day and age, sometimes kids have better judgment than the adults. There are a lot of crazy videos of coaches out there acting like jackwagons too. It's not just kids. It's a society problem. I think that. And when I say society problem, I'm just talking about disrespecting other people. You know what I mean? In the way in which we celebrate the manner, and coaches getting upset, going at umpires, going at parents, that kind of thing. It's not just a kid problem. There's just so much more to it. And look, I don't have a problem that you don't have a problem with it, Mac. I think that again, it's just a matter of where the line's drawn for you. And I think it's a great conversation. If you're mad at us for bringing it up, I do apologize. I will tell you this, a little peek behind the curtains, Mac. Our job in radio is to provide topics that are hot button topics that get calls and text, and that's what this is doing.
I mean, listen, I wish this was around when I played baseball because I would love it.
Now, people had better sense when you played baseball.
I would absolutely no. We were just taught to play a different way, Diesel. Yeah. There's a difference.
Yeah, you were taught to have respect for other people. You were taught not to disrespect other people.
There's a difference. What you consider respect and disrespect is so flimsy. It really is. It really is. But I mean, look at the pros. The pros have fun, but we get mad at them for bat flipping and all this other stuff. And we're talking about, at the end of the day, I just want to go back to the point that we're talking about children. Yes, he's 15 years old, but he's not an adult. He still has room to grow. He's a kid. He's going to make mistakes.
Can I ask you one thing real quick, Mac? One thing? Can I ask you one more question? You just said he's a kid. He's got room to grow. He's going to make mistakes. But you also said you don't have a problem with what he did. How can both be true?
Absolutely both can be true. I mean, because there are folks out there, like you said, who have a problem with what he did. I really don't, because the coach was involved. I really don't have a problem with what he did because the coach was involved. If the coach is not involved in that, then it's probably a different story.
I got you. That's fair.
But the coach is involved. So how can you be mad at the kid when the coach is right there hand in hand in it?
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I think that's a fair statement from me. Mac, very much appreciate the phone call and appreciate the listening. We got to get to a few other calls and late for a break, but thanks for the call.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, Mac. Hey, we can vehemently disagree on a topic and still be cool. So it's all good, man. All right, I'm not mad at you.
We've got to run to a break. We do have like a million other phone calls lined up. So we'll get to you, but we do have to hit a break. We're like 7 minutes late. Yeah. But if you're on hold, I just saw one or two drop. We'll get to you. If you want to stay through the break,
call
please
back
do.
In. If you drop, call back in.
That's right. We'll get to it.
That's next.
From start to finish and kickoff to buzzer, this is Wired.
of space.
Well, this topic has taken on a life of its own, hasn't it, Cole?
It's not a good topic, though. Not a good topic.
No, it's useless. We shouldn't be talking about this.
No.
The video.
Let's talk about the WNBA instead. Let's see how many texts on the WNBA and calls we get on that.
If you haven't seen this yet, Cole has reposted this. Kirk Herbstreit had it. Danny Cannell had it. Video of a 15-year-old kid just going ham after hitting a home run. It's hard to tell. I couldn't quite tell. Was this in a high school game? Was this in a rec league game? Yeah. Couldn't quite tell. But he hits his home run. He tosses the bat. He jogs the bases, and then he jumps and does the arm hook thing with the coach at third. And then someone tosses him a basketball, like an alley-oop. And there just so happens to be a basketball goal there, and he dunks the basketball above and beyond anything that I have ever seen take place outside of like banana ball. Like this is banana ball type stuff. This is not real baseball kind of stuff. But hey, it's the WWE-ification of everything. We got to take everything to the max these days. Some people don't have a problem with it, like Mac, our previous caller. Some people do have a problem with it. Let's see. Texter says Tim is wrong and makes your point. This is the world now. Another texter says terrible parents and coaches. Texter says, yeah, but the mature folks should have been mature and told that kid dunking is too extra. Another says maybe he needed tape for a basketball scholarship. See, that's what we were not thinking of, right? It's like my take yesterday that when LaMelo Ball tripped Bam Adebayo, he was actually trying to help him flatten his body out to spread the impact across a greater surface area. The phone lines are absolutely blowing up. We got a lot more text to get to on this, but let's go right to the phone lines and bring in Matt from Ohio.
Hey guys, how's it going today? This is kind of blowing up, but I wanted to mention, funny you mentioned scholarships. So my son is a head coach of an NCAA Division II sport here locally. He would have a lot of trepidation about recruiting a kid that does that stuff.
Why?
And I don't think that's something that's been mentioned. Well, because I think it reflects a degree of immaturity and selfishness. There are a lot of good athletes out there today, and you can be pretty choosy. Now, if this kid is supremely talented, whatever, but, I've heard my son talk about the recruiting process, and one of the things that he talks about is the kid a good teammate? And that's one of the biggest things he looks at. I'm going to say that the coaches bear a lot of the responsibility. When you need to bring a prop to do a celebration, that's ridiculous. And I would just point out one more thing, guys, aside from the recruiting thing and that being a negative reflection on a kid, because I'm telling you, I've heard my son talk about, kids that have excessive celebrations kind of present that me first and that kind of attitude. But think about the great celebrations in sports. And one of the greatest, and I'm not a fan of the NC State Wolfpack, but Jim Valvano running onto the court after Lorenzo Charles, I think, with that game-winning putback against Houston. And what is he looking to do? He's looking to hug one of his players. It's about the team. And I think this coach and this player has obviously lost that. And, yeah, the kid's 15, but, he should know better, and so should the coach.
But I guess, Matt, what it all boils down to is, and again, no disrespect from my opinion, no disrespect to anybody who disagrees with me. I love it. That's what these shows are for, and I believe that we should be able to have, conversations in life, on radio, where you disagree. I love Mike from Woodruff. I love this call. I thought it was a great call.
100%.
I
100%.
I do want to know, though, from your standpoint, when we have so many people who support what the kid did, it does seem like we'll never get back to what it used to be, where you do respect the game, you do respect your opponent. And again, I think it's just become too far opinionated on how you respect the game and what a celebration looks like that goes too far.
Well, I think the other part of it is, and has changed. And, with the advent of social media, everybody's looking for that viral moment. And I mean, I could get into a whole nother discussion about social media, but isn't social media there to kind of promote yourself? And I've said that for a long time. I'm not on social media. I know people are for work or other things, and I get it. And I don't begrudge anybody who is, but I'm just telling you guys that I'm thinking from the perspective of my son.
Yeah.
when he sees a kid that's involved in excessive celebrations like that kind of go over the top, I think he would have some reservations about, recruiting that kid.
Well, and consider this.
I don't think the coach is doing this kid any favor. And the fact that you have props tells everyone that this was choreographed, pre-rehearsed. I mean, and I just feel like, one of the great things about team sports is it teaches you the lessons, at least it used to. And I know I sound like old guy, get off my grass, but it teaches you the lessons that the team is greater than the sum of the individual. And I feel like, in society as a whole, we are completely losing that. And probably, I don't disagree that we might be too far gone.
Matt, consider the fact that people use social media, like a boss who's hiring somebody will go back and troll that person's social medias to see if they can find instances that throw up red flags. And like you said, your son said,
I can guarantee you that's part of the recruiting process.
Right. Somebody's going to go back and see this. Now, there might be a coach out there who wants to run his program in a much more lackadaisical or loose way, as opposed to a coach that's really buttoned up. This is how things are done. And maybe he'll find a home somewhere. Maybe he'll be playing banana ball one day.
But I will say, and Matt and Diesel, as a texter, brought up to kind of defend Tim and Mac from Woodruff a little bit, it is hard for us to say that it's only the kid's fault or only the coach's fault when you have a Clemson baseball team that a couple of years ago did this very thing with a mini basketball goal at home plate. And that's going back to my point. It just seems like it's becoming the norm.
Well, you could say that, the major league, kids are always going to emulate the major league. So when the major leagues throw on a cowboy hat or a whatever, the major league teams do this, the kids are going to emulate it. I feel like if I've coached youth baseball for many years, if I was involved in that league, I would step in as a coach in the league and say, hey, we need a league rule that says celebrations are great. Kids can be happy, but we don't need props. We don't need, somebody bringing out a basketball goal or a Nerf hoop. I mean, what's next? Are we gonna, are we gonna do a balloon drop or, you can get stupid with all this stuff. And I just feel like, it kind of defeats part of the purpose of sports.
And to your point and the texter's point about Clemson doing this in 2024, Eric Backus was suspended for 2 games for doing this. I mean, it's not like it went unpunished. Maybe SportsCenter talked about it because they'll talk about anything that'll get them ratings nowadays. That's our jobs, to get ratings. But the coach was punished for this. So it's not as if there was no repercussion at all.
Here's the real sad part about it. Maybe we're missing this part. This kid did something cool that everybody dreams about. He hit a home run. I mean, I'm 56. I still have home run balls from when I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about the home run.
Sure. No, that's a good point.
We're talking about,
that's a good point.
We're talking about this crap.
That's a great point. Good stuff.
I guess, maybe we need to think about that as we process this mentally and from an ethics standpoint. But yeah, I mean, parents, coaches, the kid, I think everybody could have done a little better.
Matt, thanks for the call as always, man.
Yep.
I do like his point about the home run. And regardless of what side of the fence you find yourself on in this debate, I think we can all agree that we don't like the fact that it's throwing away. And you know what? Matt hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
He hit the nail on the head because regardless of where you stand, the focus, the attention should be on the kid hitting the home run. That's where the focus should be.
And he's right. If it gets to a point where bringing your own props and your own DIY celebrations onto the field is the norm, he's right. Somebody pops a balloon full of confetti. Next, it's, I want to shoot off my own fireworks. Next is, oh, crap, I let the dugout on fire because I don't know how to handle fireworks at this level. I mean, like you see how it snowballs into bigger and bigger things. Think about all the gender reveal videos that go terribly wrong. People light stuff on fire because they don't have a clue what they're doing.
Let's go to the phone lines. Jay Tez wants to weigh in. Jay Tez has been on hold for 18 minutes. Jay Tez, we apologize, but appreciate you holding so long. Where do you stand on it?
Well, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but Mac, that was a garbage take. I gotta say, I coached my boys Little League football for 10 years, and I haven't seen this video you're talking about, but I've seen enough where I've seen Little League football players, 8, 10 years old, score a touchdown and get in a push-up position, start doing sexual movements while their coaches are cheering them on. And I just found that disgusting. I wouldn't be able to stand for that as a coach, but it's all part of this thing, soft parenting we got going on now. Kids aren't held accountable. They're taught by influencers on social media of how to act. Parents don't. This generation has probably got the most narcissists being brought up in our country than I've ever seen in my life. Everything is about me, me, me. Look at me. Pick me.
Yeah,
And
the problem
it's
is
not
we've got a
anymore.
generation of narcissists raising another generation of even bigger narcissists.
And I think, J-Tez, I think
Exactly.
the bigger problem is social media. And look, social media is great for a lot of things. And I mean a lot of things, but it is bad for a lot of things. And, my whole thing is if you played any level of sport, you do know that most sports outside of like golf are team sports, right? I hate that it draws attention away from it being a team sport. That's what I hate most about these over-the-top celebrations.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure. I'm like you, Cole. I didn't play, high-level sports, but I did play Little League baseball. I did play Little League football. I swam. I did lots of competitive things growing up. But you know what? It doesn't matter how old I am or how old you are. Everybody has had the same experience. When you've been on a Little League team, you've played around some really good athletes in your age group. And some of them were very humble and very team-oriented, but you always had those few that are cocky and bullies and just look down at everybody else on the team. That's what this guy is turning into. That's what the parents have turned him into. And I guarantee when he grows up to be a grown man, at 30 years old, he's going to be the same way, and he's going to be a lot less popular than he is right now.
Yeah, it's given big time peaked in high school vibes, right?
Yeah, it really is. All right, next, before we run to a break, Dan wants to weigh in. What do you say, Dan?
Yeah, no, I like what J-Tez had to say. This lack of, teaching the youth of today how to be respectful and whatnot. I mean, look what's going on in D.C. You have entire hundreds and hundreds of high school aged or even probably younger kids taking over city blocks and stuff like that. As a protest, I don't know if I haven't read enough to know if they're actually, doing other things, but I mean, it's been perpetuating itself for decades now. And I don't see it getting better. Like if this is how we let our youth live and just do whatever they want, whenever they want, because whatever, then it's just going to get worse.
Dan, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate you, man. A lot of good stuff. And again, if you just tuned in, regardless of what side of the fence you're on, if you agree with us, if you disagree, if you think like Tim and Mac and a few others, they weren't the only ones. Well, they were the only ones that called in. But if you do disagree and you didn't call in, we would love to hear from you. You can say a lot of things about Diesel and I. You can say a lot of things about me. But what you can't say is we don't allow both sides to be expressed. Whichever side you're on, we want to hear your opinion, and I appreciate that. I am a big proponent, Diesel, of we should be able to have these kind of conversations respectfully. They're fun. We just got 900 text messages and 3 or 4 phone calls that dropped during the break. So these are fun conversations. If you hate what we're saying, look, it's radio. It's April. And let me tell you, brother, May, June, July is going to be, pretty dead too. So we might have a lot more of these conversations, but we do appreciate you listening.
Yeah, the conversation is what makes it great. The disagreement is what makes it great. So don't ever feel like you can't call in because we don't think the way that you think we're going to have issues. The issue and the conflict is what makes this topic fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, regardless of how you feel about it. It is. Texter does say, was it okay when Clemson did it? I'll give my opinion there, Texter. I do not think it was okay when Clemson did it. I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it. I don't like the excessive celebration. Again, I want to be very clear. Celebration, I love celebration in sports. I just believe there's a fine line of when you cross that line, it's taken too far. It's a little excessive. And I don't want sports to not be fun. I promise. I do want sports to be fun, but I do think there's a line as well. All right, let's talk actual sports. Diesel, on the other side, a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts that we got to, and a lot that we missed as well. But a little Atlanta Braves comparison. What I've noticed as a Braves fan in the Walt Weiss era, how is it different than what I saw during the Snit era? I'll tell you my thoughts next. So what they do last night? They won again. The Atlanta Braves still have not lost a series. And this is a good Braves team. I don't think it's like fool's gold. I think this is a really solid ball club with a really solid manager. And that's where I want to go in this segment, Diesel. I think we have seen a little bit of a difference I was listening to a podcast this morning, and a few points I agreed with and a few points I disagreed with about Walt Weiss, the new Braves manager. And I want to know what you believe to be the difference, Diesel, as well as those out there, the Tolos who are Braves fans, at 844-326-3663. I'll preface by saying, let us not forget, Brian Snitker won a world championship, right? He won in 2021 the World Series. So this is going to sound, Diesel, like I don't think Brian Snitker's doing a good job. But I'll preface by saying, if you haven't noticed a difference in managerial performance, I don't think you've been watching close enough. That's not disrespectful, is it? Toward Brian Snitker?
Different managers have different styles.
Different styles, different approaches.
Clearly, the style works because it got him all the way to the point where he was managing a Major League Baseball team, which is incredibly hard to do. Guys work their entire careers as managers trying to get to that point. Most of them never do. So he got there to get one of 32 or 30 most sought-after jobs in baseball.
And again, to be clear, Brian Snitker won a World Series. So it may sound like I'm disrespecting him a little bit. And I know the sample size for Walt Weiss is very, very small. Like, he's only coached less than 25 games. But I'll tell you what I've noticed. Diesel, Walt Weiss is a little more aggressive than Brian Snitker was, in a good way. Snit was far more aggressive. Snit let guys stay out. I remember as a Braves fan, we always had these conversations like, man, he just lets these guys stay out so long. He lets them stay out. Sometimes we lost because of it. Walt Weiss, it feels like, is trying to win every single game. On a Tuesday, on a Friday. No disrespect to Snit. Not saying Snit wasn't trying to win, but you can see a difference. I'll give you an example. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Isn't that fascinating? Because as we talked to, I don't know if it was Smitty who brought up this point on the show, or if it was John Whittle, who we're going to have on the show here in about 30 minutes, who talked about the difference between Paul Mainieri being much more aggressive, especially for hitters.
Yeah, John Whittle.
As opposed to Monty Lee, who wants to let the game come to them. So, every team takes on a different personality. Every system works differently compared to the players that you have.
One difference, one example, though. Friday night, Walt Weiss pulled Bryce Elder in a 2-1 baseball game. A 2-1 baseball game. They were playing the Guardians, right? At that point in the game, Bryce Elder had only thrown like 76, 77 pitches. It just felt like a moment that was valued. It felt like it's a game in April, and as a baseball fan, I'm sitting there watching it as a Braves fan thinking, this feels big. It feels big. Also with Robert Suarez, he's been using Suarez against the best part of opponents' lineups, Diesel, right? When he puts Suarez out there, he's using his best guy for the best part of the lineup. Walt's using, I feel like, his entire roster, his entire depth. He's unloading the ammunition, right?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really interesting to watch what happens when Sean Murphy comes back. When you look at how Drake Baldwin's playing, it's so early in this process. Yeah. But I will just agree with the ones who have also said it. Walt Weiss looks like an outstanding hire thus far.
You might know the answer to this better than I would. Was Brian Snitker more of a guy that was dedicated to what the analytics told him? If the analytics told him to do something, he would do it regardless of how somebody who would talk about feel.
I don't know.
With feel.
I don't know that he was more analytic driven, more so than he was more of a player's coach in the way that, I'm not saying Walt Weiss isn't a player's coach, but like that's the reason a lot of these players for the Braves love Snit. He was a player's coach. He was loyal. He trusted the players to get out of it. He'd leave them out there longer. He was a player's coach. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, like you said, a completely different style in which what Walt Weiss is managing. I love it. Both work. And depending on who you have, right? Both work. Yeah. Like I said, Snit won a world championship doing it. So I'm not saying it didn't work, but I'm just saying, seeing Walt, he's aggressive. He's aggressive. It feels like last night I was watching, it feels like every game matters. Even on a random Wednesday night in April. And I love that as a Braves fan.
Cole, what should become of all the golfers who were given their chance just, 3 months ago to come back to PGA now that their precious Live Golf, the funding is being cut. We'll get into that and the second biggest story facing golf right now next.
Going wire to wire.
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
On the Fan Upstate.
I just had a thought, Cole. Was it Tim that called in earlier, the first caller of the show, who said that acting like an ass in baseball is okay because it's not golf? Was Tim okay with Jason Kelsey jumping into the pond at the par 3 at Augusta a couple days ago? I mean, the entire golf-loving world struck back on that. They had a problem with him, Bert Kreischer, and I think it was Kevin Hart jumping into the pond. Social media went berserk and said, absolutely not at this event. We don't need this. So he's like, this isn't golf.
I feel like that's what should happen in the what's the waste management, right?
Yes, they're trying to turn golf into wrestling as well, and the golf-loving world didn't want it. Biggest story in golf right now, though, Cole, is that the pairings for the Southern Company Peach Bowl Challenge Golf Tournament are out. This is huge. Shane Beamer, head coach at South Carolina, teamed up with Houston Nutt. How's that? Let's see. Steve Spurrier, playing as a legend, is teamed up with Dave Doran of NC State. I can't imagine that Steve is not going to be in his ear.
I wonder if Steve knows who Dave is.
Didn't you coach for me once? Were you my kicking coach?
Where do you coach at? Hey man, where do you coach at?
Kirby Smart is teamed up with Tommy Tuberville, and Dabo Sweeney going to be playing golf with Jim Grobe, the former coach at Wake Forest.
How about that?
Like, hey, Jim, remember all those times you beat me and you invented a term called Clemsoning? Let's not talk about that.
Let's keep that off
while we're in our backswings. Before we get to live golf essentially dissolving at the end of this season, let's go to the phone lines and bring in TT. What's up, TT?
Hey guys, I know that's a corny name. I don't want to give you the backstory on it.
I like it. TT.
I'm sorry, but listen, I wanted to get your comments. I actually had comment question. The Braves are playing the Phillies, and the Phillies it seems, have always owned the Braves. And I'm just wondering a couple of things. Why have the Phillies fallen off a little bit? I don't know what changes they made to their lineup, and I'm afraid Atlanta's going to get spanked in that first game.
Well, let me ask you this. Does it feel like, TT, does it feel like this is a little bit different of a Braves team?
Oh, there's no question. When I looked up today at the highlights and I saw that Austin Riley had hit a home run, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I know it's one home run, but I agree. I'm a huge Braves fan, and I'm just worried about this first game in Philadelphia, and I'm wondering why the Phillies aren't the team that we expected them to be, and I'm just afraid that Schwarber's going to hit a couple of home runs.
So, let me ask you this. Does it feel like the Phillies, this is just a feeling? Maybe there's some facts behind this when you talk about guys like Wheeler and Nola and guys they've had in the past. Does it feel like the Stars, this Phillies team's been built around the Stars, kind of like the Braves were a few years ago, and when guys, were having to carry the Braves on their back like Ozuna when the Stars weren't shining? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It feels like this Phillies team's built on stars, and when those stars don't shine, it's pretty dark in Philadelphia.
Listen, Cole, I hope you're right. Oh, my gosh. I would love to see the Braves take two, and that would be awesome, but I'm really worried about that first game in Philly and how it's going to look. So
it's possible, guys, it's possible, TT, that this Phillies roster is just getting a little older. Bryce Harper's 33, Trey Turner, he's 32. I mean, they're not a young baseball team anymore. They're still dangerous.
And I don't think their starting pitching is like exceptional either. Sanchez is not bad. I just don't think it's like an exceptional. They'll be throwing Painter on Sunday in the Sunday game, so it's good. It's not overwhelmingly good in terms of the pitching.
Hopefully, and one more thing: if you danced around like that after a homer in the pros, you're going to get plunked, right? And it's coming. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Appreciate the phone call,
TT.
TT. He's right though. This is the biggest series yet, because it's the Phillies. Right. I mean, it's you've played the Marlins in the division, but it's the Phillies, and we want this one.
Phillies are 8-10. It's not like the Braves are 17-1.
Well,
there's still a lot of log jam. We're still figuring out who these teams are.
And while the Braves are good and while the Phillies aren't great, what we all have to remember about baseball, especially Major League Baseball, it don't matter. Like, anybody can win on any given day. It just not maybe it doesn't matter. It's not the right term. Anybody can win. Anybody can win. The Phillies can win. Like the Dodgers have lost games. That's what makes gambling on baseball so difficult, in my opinion. Like you're going to win 80 times. You're going to lose 65 to 70 times, right? You just never know. It all comes down to the pitching. And this is a good Braves team, though. TT, I hope your spirits are high. I think the Braves can. I think the Braves can take 2 or 3 this weekend.
Shane Barrett says Kirby and Tubbs. Oh, I want to be a fly on that golf cart. Kirby and Tubbs. Good. That sounds like an '80s buddy cop drama, right?
It does.
Yeah. Cole, if you hadn't heard this is also massive news out of the golf world. Live Golf is going bye-bye because it seems like the Saudi Royal Fund, the Saudi Investment Fund, has said, we're not getting enough out of this. We are shutting this thing down. We're not spending that kind of money for this thing anymore. And according to people at Live, they're going to continue through the end of this season, and that's it. And that's it. Live is dead.
Well, let's be honest about it. If it weren't for that topic that we led the show with that got a million phone calls and a million texts, this would be the lead story of the day. Like I'm surprised this isn't on every single channel. Yeah. Like this is the biggest story of the year.
Remember, it was only like 3 months ago, which is crazy because this feels like it happened 5 years ago. Remember when the PGA offered a returning members program, said, hey, if you come back, we're going to
doesn't seem like long ago at all.
It's like, we're going to spank you. We're going to make you pay $5 million to a charity. You're going to give up this. You're going to give up that. It's going to cost you a lot of money, but we want to let you back into the PGA if you want to come back. And this is a one-time offer. Did the PGA know something about Liv's finances that none of these other golfers who are still with Liv knew about? I mean, there's a lot of big-time golfers playing in Liv still. There's John Rahm, there's Bryson, there's Cam Smith, there's Dustin Johnson, Bubba Watson, a bunch more.
These are what I find interesting is and again, I'm seeing all kind of reports. You don't know what's true and what's not. I saw reports that they were fully funded through 2030.
Until the Saudi family said, we're not paying for this anymore.
So they just tired of footing the bill.
I guess. And here's the thing. When the money is tied to a government, they can just say, all right, we're done. We're not going to pay for this anymore.
Take your bags and go home.
What are you going to do? You're going to sue the Saudi royal family for cutting off your funding too soon?
No, you ain't suing them.
You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. So, Brooks came back, and does that look like a smart decision for Brooks Koepka to come back to the PGA? He donated his $5 million. He lost out on 5 years of PGA equity shares, estimated at $50 to $80 million. He also isn't eligible for FedEx Cup bonus pool money for the 2026 season. He also now has to go out and qualify for signature events. So he lost his exemptions at PGA signature events. But that was a one-time offer. I think the PGA should stonewall these Live golfers. Like, hey, if you want back, you got to go play in a Corn Ferry. Go play in the DP World Tour. Play in Europe. I don't care. We don't want you back.
Jay Busby of Yahoo Sports reported late last night, I believe, Live Golf CEO Scott O'Neill sent an email to Live Golf staff stating, the noise you hear is simply the sound of a movement that is working. Embrace it. We are pioneers. And while the road isn't always smooth, the destination is worth every mile. That was just a couple of hours after Yahoo reported that the investment fund is close to pulling its funds.
So what I heard was things are not going smoothly. Don't believe what you hear.
That sounds like a corporate email.
Do you believe what you hear, or are things going smoothly?
Yeah, and I guess the golfers, like from their standpoint, and I joke about that. That really does, for those that hadn't been like in the corporate world, that's what a corporate email sounds like.
Right.
It's like the golfers are now thinking the same way you and I would be thinking if we got that email. It does sound like an email we'd get.
Should I polish my resume?
Or is the check clear? Is the check going to clear Friday? So like that's what I'm sure that the golfers are thinking about. Could it change? Could all this change? I guess. I just don't know. It's kind of uncharted waters in a way.
Yeah.
And it's, oh my gosh, it's fascinating.
This is wild stuff. And again, if you're CEO of PGA, Brian Rolop, what do you do here? I mean, because undeniably, as much as people may dislike John Rahm and Bryson and Cam for going to Live, they're still great players, and you would theoretically love to have them back on your tour because they are stars. But you said one-time only offer. Do you stand by that or don't you? If you're Brian Rolap, do you say, all right, well, the $5 million was the one-time offer. Now it's 20. You want to come back? It's going to cost you 20. You know, it's negotiating, essentially going in the wrong direction for these players. But if I'm him, I either say pound sand or I say, guess what? Double it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's interesting that all this is happening this time of year too. You know, it's major time. Like you have a major every single month. Like we have another major in 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4 weeks. So it's definitely worrisome if you're a live golfer. I'll say that it's worrisome. There's no doubt about it. I just wonder if the golfers who are right now employed by live, what do they do? What are they being advised to do? What are their agents telling them to do? I think that's fascinating.
I do wonder, all this money that they were they paid this up front. So, you know, some of them might not even care. Like, hey, if you already paid me whatever that money was, then shut it down. I don't care. You already paid me. Yeah. Right. But if they're getting paid, you know, every other week, just like the rest of us are, then certainly that's a scary thing, because you don't want your cash cow to walk away, to wander off pasture.
God, certainly they didn't have enough money to fund it all up front, did they? They have that much money?
I'm curious here. What?
I mean, here's your paycheck for the next 3 years.
Much does
that would be insane. That would be absolutely insane. I don't know. Maybe they do. It's Saudi money. It's dirty money. Maybe they have that much money.
According to Google, yeah, they have the money, Cole. According to Google, as of April this month, the Saudi Public Investment Fund has assets estimated at over $900 billion to $1.15 trillion.
Ooh.
So yeah, they had the cash.
They got cash.
That wasn't a problem. I mean,
that's insane.
They're just giving away jets over there anyway.
Yeah.
But that's the great question. If Tolos, what would you do if you were the CEO of PGA? A lot of acronyms here. What would you do? How would you treat the players that are on live, that are star players that play in majors alongside your PGA players? What would your offer be to get them back into the PGA? Dan B on the stream says, okay, that one-time offer actually sounds fair. Those who didn't take it can kick rocks. He also says, reap what you sow, own your mistakes, and live with the consequences.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mac Bombs 3206 on YouTube says the PGA is absolutely bluffing. They will take them all back, like it or not. Rahm, Mickelson, DeChambeau are solidified in PGA history. The fans would love to have them back. I agree the penalty might be steeper the second time around, but this is far from over. Dan Wetzel of ESPN, the latest report from him, this was today at 3:30, so less than an hour ago. Dan reports there doesn't appear to be much life left in LIV, which even in the early days of its unlimited cash and immeasurable bluster seemed inevitable. LIV Golf CEO emailed his staff. I read you that quote, right, where he said, we will continue as planned, uninterrupted, full throttle. The article that Dan wrote, Diesel, says he didn't address all the media reports that Saudi's public investment fund is going to pull funding after dropping about $5 billion in 5 years on the oil pipeline funded pipe dream that it could create with the world's preeminent professional golf tour. Again, pipe dream there, right? Keyword.
Yeah.
So Dan says whoever first sold the PIF on this idea sold it a bill of goods. A lot of people got rich, golfers mainly, both in the LIV salaries and eventual PGA Tour reforms. But he says the gravy train was likely always going to end. So it's just a matter of time is what it sounds like.
It sounds like it was somebody's pet project. They thought this is a phenomenal way to sports wash our image. And then when the people above him said, hey, what are we spending $5 billion on over the last 5 years? What, a little golf course? What do we? No, we're not going to spend money on that anymore. Cut the funding. So that's what it sounds like has happened. And to Mac's point there, with Rahm, Mickelson, DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Bubba Watson. Yeah, the PGA, I'm sure, will invite them back in some way. But I think the penalty now should, at the very least, double from what the offer was just a couple of months ago. The returning members program, again, that was a $5 million charitable donation. You lose out on some PGA equity shares and FedEx bonus cup money. So it was whatever we looked it up, whatever Brooks's payout was going to have to
pay
be.
a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot of money.
It was a lot.
Yeah. And I'm just continuing to read this article. There's not much like breaking news on it. I kind of think that the general consensus is it's just a matter of time. There's nothing pressing in terms of, the timetable, the timeline of when it will shut down, how long. It's just what's crazy about it, even though you have the PGA Championship coming up next month, this is a wildly interesting and massive story. And it's gonna be massive until it ends. And maybe a year from now, we're sitting here talking about, remember when LIV was a thing? I will say this. Yeah. I'm very surprised by it. I'm not surprised in the sense of what you said, that a government-funded institution could at any time pull the plug on it. That doesn't surprise me. But Diesel, what surprises me is that it happened this quick. It doesn't feel like LIV's been around that long. I know it has.
Right. 5 years?
5
really
years? Something like that.
Jeez.
It doesn't feel like 5 years, but boy, all the golfers, like they went over there and made the cash. Also, a local note, Jacob Bridgman was asked about it. Have you heard this audio yet, Diesel?
Mm-mm.
So I believe it was just a couple of days ago in the media availability before the Harbortown. Is in Harbortown this weekend? Is that right?
No, it's RBC.
RBC, sorry.
Yeah.
RBC Heritage. The media availability before the RBC, Jacob Bridgman was asked about LIV golfers. And what I found interesting was that they're asking a golfer, and Jacob Bridgman, who's from here, from Inman and went to Clemson, who hadn't been on the PGA Tour long, right? Who just got his first PGA Tour win back last month out in LA. They're asking this guy what his thoughts were. Here's that audio in case you haven't heard it. Our local product, former Clemson Tiger, being asked about LIV and the golfers that should return.
That LIV may cease operations. I'm just curious if that happens. What would you like to see happen would you like the players to be allowed back to the PGA Tour, or how would you handle that?
Yeah, I haven't heard really much about it, but look, we've got, Brooks was welcomed back, and it's been great for our tour. Any more eyeballs we can get, I think is great. And Brooks has been playing some great golf. He's earned it. He's a major champion, I think 5 times. So yeah, if they're able to come back and promote our tour, then great. And if they're not, then it's not really going to change my day to day. But I'm going to play the golf that I play on this tour and have fun doing it. And if, some guys that haven't been here for a few years come back over, then good for them. And if not, it doesn't really matter to me.
Great answer, by the way.
Yeah, very diplomatic.
It doesn't impact me. It
Right.
doesn't impact me. I mean, this guy hadn't been on the PGA Tour 5 minutes.
Well,
and they're asking him about it.
It's a weird question to ask somebody who's brand new. Unfortunately, it does affect whoever, is at the bottom of the list of players that qualify, right? It makes it hard. If 5 guys come back, that's 5 guys who now will not qualify because 5 better golfers are back on the tour.
No, send the ones from LIV down to the Corn Ferry.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, make them play over here at Threes in Greenville. If they can birdie every hole, then you can play on the Corn Ferry. You win the Corn Ferry Championship, then you can go play the DP World Tour in Europe. You win that, then you got to put the ball into the clown's mouth, and then you're back on PGA.
I like that.
And it'll cost you $10 million.
Well, see, I would even be fine if they said, "Hey, no penalty fines. Just start back at Corn." I mean, they would blow through it. We all know that, but still, it would be fun to see them go do it. It would be. It would be good. Diesel and I were live here at over here at what's the golf course we broadcast from for the BMW?
Thornblade.
Thornblade, and we're sitting down with Bryson DeChambeau, who's on the Corn Ferry Tour, who just came from LIV. Bryce,
make him play and win a tournament with a kid's set of clubs.
Yeah, Bryson, what's it feel like to be playing in Greenville?
That's what Bryson does on YouTube. He does all those challenges. I'm playing with a Walmart driver. Make him win a tournament with one of those.
Oh, that'd be funny. That would be good stuff. When we come back, Diesel, John Whittle, the Big Spur, talking Gamecock baseball. The Gamecocks are on a little bit of a heater. We'll talk to John Whittle about it next. Well, look at them and their winning ways to talk Gamecock baseball. We're joined by John Whittle of the Big Spur. You hear John each and every Thursday at this time on these airways. We always appreciate John's time. You know, it's been a pretty good week and a half, John, when you talk about Gamecock baseball. Obviously, opponents matter and who you play matters. But I want to know, from the fanfare, like, is there any – I'm not asking if there's buyback or buy-in coming back into the program, but are you noticing anything different from the fan base in terms of excitement, or is it just too far gone at this point?
I mean, I think more folks are a little bit more engaged. There've been a few more people at the games, and you know, while I certainly get your point and agree with it that who you play matters, it goes both directions.
Sure.
You know, Missouri and Davidson aren't very good, but you know, Georgia and Texas are pretty darn good, and you know, so South Carolina's lost some games to some teams that are just a lot better than they are, and you know, beat up on a Missouri team that's probably pretty comparable. So that's encouraging to go out there and win those 3 games. You know, obviously you weigh the competition, but you know, the other side of that is true as well. So, you know, I do think folks are a little bit more encouraged. That doesn't mean that folks are buying tickets to the NCAA regionals just yet, but you know, I think folks are a little bit happier.
You know, John, I mean, you hear all the time that people say we're living in a microwave society, but I get the feeling most Gamecock fans are treating this Monty Lee experiment like a cheap bag of popcorn. You know, you hope all the kernels pop, but you really only expect to get half a bag out of it, and a lot of unpopped popcorn kernels at the bottom of the bag. Is my analogy on point? Are South Carolina fans just still very much expecting things to go wrong down the stretch?
Well, I mean, I think there's some truth in that. I mean, I think that folks are, in general, pleased with how things have happened since he took over, or what's happened since he took over. I mean, there's a little bit more energy. There's a little bit more juice. The caliber of play has been a little bit better. You know, I mean, you look at it in the field of the SEC and fielding percentage at .961, which is just atrocious. When Monty took over, and I haven't looked since the game on Tuesday night, but after the weekend series against Missouri, you know, South Carolina was 4th in the league in fielding percentage in SEC games. So, you know, you look and you see a little bit better play in general, which I think is a good thing. I mean, I don't know how much you can get out of this team. And you know, we talked on this station, on this show before the season started. Like, you know, when I looked at the talent level, I didn't think that this was an NCAA tournament team. You know, my preseason prediction was to go 11-19 in the SEC, which is out of the tournament, obviously. So, you know, I don't think the ceiling for this team was all that high, but you know, you're getting a little bit closer to maximizing, you know, what you've got.
And, you know, maximizing what you have currently is great. And like you said, John, fans want to see a team out there that's competitive, that's winning a few games here and there. Does that change the end of this story, the end of this movie in any way in your mind?
In terms of how the season plays out, or in terms of like what coach is being
coach?
I mean, it can, you know, from a coaching standpoint, you know, I think that Monty's got to make it to the tournament. That Monty's got to lead this team to the tournament to have a real chance of getting the job. You know, maybe if you're right there on the bubble, I don't know, but I feel like that, you know, just kind of reading the tea leaves, I think it's gonna take a berth in the tournament, and it may even take a little bit more than that. But you know, I've wanted to kind of wait until at least the calendar flips to May before I start kind of like truly diving deep and analyzing some of that stuff and trying to figure out like what the mindset is over there. Because at the end of the day, like Monty and this team have I think it ends up being 30 games in total, or maybe 32 right in there, where he's going to be the head coach, the interim head coach, and he's going to have a resume.
put together at the end. And, that's going to be a big part of what decision is made. So, I mean, what happens at the end of the season certainly can change the calculus on what the administration is thinking. But, I think there are probably some benchmarks that need to be hit.
John, do you think he could coach himself into staying on staff potentially?
I don't know if that's something that he would even want to do. Like, that's not something I've talked to him about. And so I'm just giving my personal opinion on it, not really behind the scenes on it. But, it's just, you've been here as part of two staffs and both of those head coaches got fired. Like, A, if you're South Carolina, do you want that guy on your staff? And B, if you're Monty, do you want to be on that staff? But what I tell you what he is doing is, even if he's not auditioning himself or even if he doesn't land the head coaching job at South Carolina, he's auditioning himself for some other head coaching gigs. Yeah. And there could be some places that come open. Kevin Schnall could very well be hired somewhere, right? I mean, whether it's South Carolina or somewhere else, like that coastal job, I'm sure Monty would love.
Yeah.
There's going to be opportunity for him, and even if he doesn't get the South Carolina job, I think there's going to be some other opportunities for him out there, especially if this team finishes strongly. Monty was offered the head coaching job at Cincinnati a couple of years ago, after his first year with Mark Kingston. So, and that was they were moving into the Big 12 conference and wanted a fresh start. And Monty seriously considered accepting that job. And, so he was offered a Power 4 coaching position, a head coaching position already. And, there's a case to be made for him to be offered another one again.
John, wouldn't that be fascinating if Coastal and South Carolina just flipped coaching staffs? That would be a wild time to be. What was your reaction to Chance Miller, the AD over at Coastal, saying, hey, if I was Jeremiah Donati, Kevin Schnall would be the first person I would call and I would make him say no to me?
I mean, I probably wouldn't have phrased it quite like that, but at the same time, like I understand where he's coming from. Like if I'm an athletics director, I would certainly want to hire one of the best head coaches out there, and he's one of the best head coaches out there. And I think that's the point that Chance was making, is that when you have a guy that is that good, everybody's going to want him, but you want to keep your guy. So, I understand what the point Chance was trying to make. I'm not sure I would have phrased it quite that way because, it makes it sound like you're offering him up to South Carolina in some ways. I know that's not what he's doing, because he's very invested. Chances he's very invested in the baseball program and very invested in Kevin Schnall. So I know he doesn't want him to go, but I understand that if the position he's taken, that hey, I've got a hell of a baseball coach right here down in Conway, and everybody's going to want him.
John, correct me if I'm wrong here when it comes to Brandon Stone, but has Monty Lee's approach been different with Brandon Stone compared to what Mainieri's was? Because last year we saw him, coming in and out a good bit, maybe even in some starting Sunday roles, and a little bit of that this year early in the season. And then correct me if I'm wrong here, again, just off the top of my head, I think he started Thursday night. Is the Friday guy, even though it wasn't on Friday. Is Monty's vision for Stone different now that he's the head guy?
Yeah, it is. It is, in short. I would say that most really good pitching staffs have a guy in there that you can use in different ways, right? Like you can start him on a weekend if you want to, if the opportunity presents itself. You can use him in long relief or a couple of times on the weekend. Like there's kind of a swing guy on a really good pitching staff that, you kind of jerk him around a little bit. I mean, if we're just being honest with you, but you use him in whatever kind of hole you can fill to make your team successful on that weekend. And that's how Brandon Stone was being used both this year and last year. And he's been phenomenal in doing that. But what Monty basically came to the conclusion of was, this guy's our best pitcher. So why are we using our best pitcher in that way? Like, you don't really want your best guy to be that guy. You want a good guy to be that guy, but you want your best guys pitching the most important innings. And, you know, having a starting role is obviously a big deal. So, you know, that was why the decision was made by Monty, and I understand it. But I understand the other approach too. Like, you really need those kind of guys, and Brandon has been so good at it. So I get both sides of it, but I certainly respect the way Monty has taken that. And, you know, Brandon has evolved to be right there with Ant Phillips. I mean, those two guys to me are far and away the two best pitchers on the staff and most consistent. So, you know, they deserve to be in the weekend rotation and have a chance to go out there and give you 6, 7, even 8 innings, especially Brandon, because he pitches to contact and gets so many early swings that he can give you a ton of innings on very few pitches. So I'm with it. You know, I think he's done a great job.
At John M. Whittle on Twitter. Find him, give him a follow at thebigspur.com. John, you know, it may be easy to look at the number 17 next to Mississippi State's name on a schedule sheet and say, oh, okay, well, it's a much easier opponent than facing, you know, a top 10 Auburn or a top 10 Georgia, the way that they, you know, kind of started that gauntlet of SEC play. But, you know, looking at the stats, Mississippi State has the third lowest ERA in the conference. They have the second highest batting average in the conference. Doing a little scouting here on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Number one, why are they ranked 17 when they're that good in the SEC? And number two, what do the Gamecocks have that might be able to slow them down?
Yeah, it's fine margins, right? I mean, you can go out there and pitch a great game and come up with a couple of big hits, and the other team can go out there and pitch a great game and come up with a few big hits instead of a couple, and you end up with a loss. And that's a lot of what's happened with Mississippi State. But, you know, they've fallen so far in the polls because it's 2 weeks in a row that they've gotten swept. And, you know, when you get swept, you tend to fall. So, you know, they had climbed up, I think, to as high as 4 in the country. Prior to being swept twice, they had swept the 2 previous teams that they had played and got off to a heck of a start in SEC play. And, you know, they've hit a little bump in the road, and most teams usually do that. But usually when you hit a bump in the road, you do your best to win a game. The great teams figure out a way to win a game in those series and not be swept. So, you know, I'm sure that there's a bit of a sense of urgency for the Bulldogs coming in this weekend. And oh, by the way, those 2 times they got swept were both at Duty Noble, which is an incredible atmosphere, an incredible place to play. So, you know, there's a sense of when you go on the road, it kind of galvanizing your team a little bit and us against the world mentality. So I'm sure they'll lean into that a little bit. And obviously their pitching coach, Justin Parker, was here at South Carolina for a couple of years, and a couple of their pitchers were here with the Gamecocks last season, and Tyler Pitzer and Brendan Sweeney. But, you know, that to me is the strength of their team, you know, regardless of what their batting average is. You know, the strength of their team to me is that pitching staff. You know, it's been consistently good ever since Justin Parker's been there. Now this is his 3rd year, I guess. So, you know, looking forward to seeing them this weekend. And I think that I mean, all signs point to a low-scoring series with 3 tight ball games because of how good the pitching staffs can be.
John, I know this might be a crazy question, but just to try to get a glimpse of hope. You said a few minutes ago that you believe that Monty would have to somehow make his way into the tournament in order for his job to be considered, or for him to be considered to remain on as the head coach. Right now, they're back to 500, 5-10 in conference play. You mentioned Mississippi State this weekend. After that, you have Presbyterian, Kentucky, Citadel, LSU, Alabama, Winthrop in the midweek, and then you end the season with Vandy before the SEC tournament in mid-May. Again, this is wild. It's a little bit crazy, outlandish, but is there a path in your mind? I mean, is there any way the Gamecocks could somehow, some way make the tournament?
Sure. I mean, there's a path there. You know, that's I guess part of the benefit of playing all your best teams early is it lightens up a little bit later, right? Like Alabama, I check the polls this week, to be perfectly honest with you. With South Carolina not being in them, I don't pay as close attention. But I think Alabama's the top 10 team. Other than that, the rest of the teams on there are, not too different than South Carolina. Now, I mean, I'll say that LSU is a much more talented team than South Carolina is when you just look individually, player by player. Like, they've got a crazy amount of talent there. Vanderbilt's got more talent, but Kentucky is not more talented than South Carolina, and those other teams, apart from Alabama, they're not having the kind of seasons that they would hope for. So I do think that there is a pathway there. I mean, it's not likely, but it's not impossible. Winning all three at Missouri has made things a little bit more attainable. Like, you don't expect, regardless of whether it's Missouri or anybody else, you don't expect a sweep on the road. Like, this is the first time South Carolina has swept Missouri on the road. And they haven't had bad teams here the entire time. So, it's not completely out of the question. I think when you have had all of the bad losses that you've had, all of those midweek losses, and even a couple on the weekend that were bad losses, like, you've made it more challenging. Like, you're in the conversation usually with 12 or 13 for sure, and occasionally even 12 SEC wins. Like, I think you probably have to get to 14, or, if you're only at 13, you've got to make some hay in the SEC tournament and win a few games down there. But it's not impossible. Very difficult, but not impossible.
John, we bring you on to talk Gamecock baseball, but you wrote this story over at thebigspur.com. What can you tell us about the signing of Camden? Is it Hyde? Am I getting that right? Cameron Hyde from Texas in the portal. Seems like he's transferring so he can play a bigger role, maybe get some more shots than what he was getting at Texas. And how would you expect to split the load between him and Corey Mensah, another shooting guard coming in? And our fans, our Tolos who are fans of PC will know him because he played his first 2 years down there with the Blue Hose.
Yeah, well, I do plenty of hoops over there too, and the portal is the portal's been interesting so far. It doesn't seem like there's a lot happening in some moments. There've only been a few visits, but there's certainly some players to watch. And you asked specifically about Heidi, and he's to me he's more of a three guard than one of those point or shooting guards. He probably plays that three position, and he's a sharpshooter. Like, he didn't get a ton of shots, so he didn't score a ton of points. Like, if you go back and look at Texas' stats, they had three guards who took a ton of their shots. All three of them were top 20 in the SEC in terms of field goal attempts. So if you have three players in a 16-team league in the top 20 in field goal attempts, you got three guys who are pretty much hogging the ball, right? So that didn't leave a whole lot of shots for a guy who shoots 45% from three. And I think he'll get more shots than that when he's at South Carolina if he continues to hit at that 45% clip, which, by the way, he did at Purdue as well. So really good shooter. I mean, obviously we saw South Carolina be about the worst, if not the worst, three-point shooting team in the league each of the last 2 years. And they need a guy like him, 6'7", 215, and he's got some real athleticism too. I think most of us saw him hit that dagger three-pointer against Gonzaga to clinch a spot in the Sweet 16. But a couple years ago in that championship game against Purdue, he went flying through the lane for a follow-up dunk against UConn. So find that one on your Twitter page and check that one out. So he's more than just a spot-up shooter guy. He's got some athleticism too, and he played a lot of four at Texas this past year too, and that doesn't really suit him so well. So I think he'll be a little bit better fit at South Carolina, a place where they rely on passing to create open shots. If you look at what Texas did, they had three guys who generated their own shots. They didn't pass the ball too much. There weren't too many assists. South Carolina's one of its biggest Achilles heels this past season, and really the previous, is they just missed all their open shots. They got open shots and missed them.
John,
this guy isn't going to miss him.
Sorry to cut you off there, John. As we let you go, for those diehard Gamecock fans in the upstate, we tell them all the time where they can follow you on Twitter, but I also know you guys have some special places where they can subscribe, visit, and follow along. Can you share those as well?
Yeah, thebigspur.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. You know, we always have some type of special going on, whether you want to become a yearly member or monthly member. You know, whether it's $1 for your first month or 60% off for your first year. There's always something going on. And, you know, obviously we got people covering the conclusion of spring football practice as well, in addition to myself on the basketball portal and the baseball beat. So there's plenty going on.
John, always appreciate your time, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Take care.
John Whittle of the Big Spur. He just told you where you can follow along and subscribe. You diehard Gamecock fans, if you haven't done so already, make sure you do. Let them know you heard them on the Fan Upstate. That'll be a big bonus.
I think, Cole, if I had somebody who's shooting 45% from the field, I'd let him take some more shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. South Carolina, I think they'll get some good mileage out of old Camden next season. You'll see him in a Gamecock uniform. When we come back, Cole, it is time to do our quick whip around the sports world. Everything happening all at once. The Daily Wire's next.
844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Cole, it's time for our Daily Wires.
Buzz.
Got to be quick on these because we don't have a ton of time. Another series win for the Braves. They beat the Miami Marlins 6-3 last night behind 11 hits and 2 RBIs from Matt Olson off today. Speaking of Matt Olson, the first baseman logged a major milestone Wednesday night, recording his 800th straight start. Wow, 800.
That's crazy to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that like 4.5 years? I mean, that's insane.
In case you missed it, the Spartanburgers and Drive split their 6-game series last week. They'll face off again starting April 28th through May 3rd, and then again in mid-July. The Burgers have won 3 straight. They won yesterday at Wilmington, the one in Delaware, not the one in North Carolina. Back to 500 on the season.
Good for them.
The NBA play-in last night, the 76ers beat the Magic 109-97, and the Warriors, 6.5-point dogs, beat the Clippers 126-121. Steph went off for 35. It's huge. The Magic will host the Hornets tomorrow night, maybe 7:30 on Prime.
Maybe Steph Curry shouldn't be a 6.5-point underdog in a play-in game.
To anyone.
Just saying. Just saying.
Not surprised here. Tiger Woods' attorney is fighting prosecutors' attempts to subpoena his prescription drug records from a pharmacy. In response to the state's motion for a subpoena, attorney Douglas Duncan wrote that Woods has a constitutional right to privacy interest in his prescription records and requested a hearing to determine whether prosecutors will be allowed to obtain those records.
A constitutional right to
How
privacy.
dare you find out if my client is on something that could make him
funny.
Flip a car.
That's funny.
Who do you think you are? The NBA on Wednesday fined LaMelo Ball $35K for making unnecessary and reckless contact with Bam Adebayo. Reports have surfaced that Ja Morant wants out of Memphis.
Send him to Charlotte.
Yeah, no, we don't want that locker room cancer. Dear God. We knew the number was high, Cole, but this is eye-opening. The Dodgers' 2025 roster cost the team a total of $515 million in payroll and luxury tax combined. $345 for payroll, $170 for the tax. That is 7 times the payroll of the Miami Marlins, who spent the least amount of money in Major League Baseball last year.
Well, maybe they can call Saudi Arabia, get some money sent over since they're getting some money freed up, right?
Yeah, they
Can
got
we
it
clear
now.
some debt, Saudi, please. How about that?
Those are your daily wires.
Well, Tolos, it is time for you to take over. This is wild because we've gotten more phone calls in the first hour than we've probably ever gotten in the first hour of the show. So asking you to do better than you did in the first hour is going to be tough. Tolo, take over on the other side. If you have something to gripe about, if you hate the show, love the show, you can call in. You can take over 844-326-3663. That is next.
demystifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Tolos, it is your opportunity to take over these airwaves, gripe, complain, tell us what's going good in your life, sports related, non-sports related. It doesn't matter. We have a segment for you right here on the Fan Upstate. If you think Diesel and I, we suck at our job, we talk too much, you could do better, well, here's your opportunity. Pick up the phones, dial 844-326-3663, whatever it is that you want to get in on the conversation about, you can hit us up. Again, 844-326-3663. If you just tuned into the show, you may hear a few phone calls in this segment, but I can assure you, you won't hear as many phone calls as you did in hour number one. In case you missed it, Diesel, we brought up this video of a young player throwing his bat down after a home run, running the bases, celebrating, slam dunking into a basketball goal. And we brought the segment up. We thought it would get interaction. We didn't know it would get 20 plus text, probably 6 plus phone calls, 2 or 3 that dropped during the commercial break. And it was an insane reaction. People on both sides of the fence. You and I said there's no place for it in the game. There were several callers who said, hey, there's nothing wrong with that kid, what he did. If you hadn't seen the video, it's on my Twitter, @TheColeBryson. I retweeted it. It's good to have opinions on both sides of the fence, and that's what makes conversation fun, right?
Yeah, we had so many texts about this. One texter said this is the best segment ever. That's awesome. We love to hear it. I mean, look, we want to come out of the gate firing with topics that will get people talking. We're a couple radio show hosts. We go to a lot of games. We cover games. We have opinions about games. But this is life. This is a different kind of topic. Yeah, it circles around baseball, circles around youth baseball, but it's not really a youth baseball conversation, is it? It's really about how we're bringing up our kids in this country these days. Do we want it to continue going down this path of essentially treating people with disrespect for clicks, or do we want it to we want to rein that kind of stuff in?
And that's what makes sports radio fun. That's what makes it fun to do this job, whether you're for it or against it, whether you have a problem with it, whether you don't. There were several callers who called us and said, you guys what are you talking about? There's no issue with a kid throwing his bat down. There's no issue with celebrating. There's no issue with slam dunking a basketball into a basket goal. No issue whatsoever. Nothing wrong with that. And I think what's so interesting about the conversation is everybody, it just goes to show, in my opinion, what makes, I think, talk radio and having sports conversations and having conversations in life fun and unique. And I think it's a medium, Diesel, where sometimes we see the medium go away in other avenues, but we see it reappear in some avenues in the form of social media. I think it's a good reminder for us to remember this. There's nothing wrong with having these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
It's fun. Dialogue is fun. Dialogue's a good thing. Being able to have open dialogue respectfully and not allowing it to make you feel some type of way. That's what sports radio is all about.
I would rather be having these kinds of conversations over the radio than be having this kind of conversation with another parent in the stands that turns into a fist fight that makes its way onto the news because somebody did something that they shouldn't have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear these stories. It's tragic. It's awful when that kind of stuff happens. And that's how stories like that can kind of escalate into places where they shouldn't go. But this is a civil conversation. We can have civil conversations.
It's fun, man.
And maybe it gets people thinking. Maybe it gets a parent who's allowed their kid to be a little loose with it. Maybe it makes them say, you know what? Maybe I don't want my kid to behave that way. Is this really how people see it? Is this really how people feel about it? Maybe I don't want my kid to become that kid. And so maybe I need to step in and do something about it myself.
And hearing, both sides is I always tell you on this show, I try to see both sides of everything. I really do. I really do try to see both sides, whether it's sports, politics, whatever. I want to see both sides and understand what both sides are thinking. And for a lot of people that have no issue with sports and the way that kids celebrate, look, I don't think any less of you. And just to also pull the curtain back, if you ever have an opinion on something that Diesel and I say, and you get upset about it, I would caution you by saying, remember, at the end of the day, what we do is is for show. It is for us to draw engagement and have you text in, have you call in. Diesel and I do feel strongly about a lot of topics, but also remember that this is entertainment. It's the entertainment business. That's what we're getting paid to do ultimately. If we sit here and talk about Brian Snitker versus Walt Weiss for 4 hours, our interaction's probably not going to be great. And in fact, Diesel, we started the first 2 segments of the show talking about this kid throwing the bat down, celebrating, doing all this stuff. And we had text, call. And then the third segment, I told you and the Tolos what I saw different between Walt Weiss and Brian Snitker, and we got 0 interaction. And I understand that a lot of sports fans out there want to just listen and learn, and they don't want to text in, they don't want to interact. I get that. But part of our job is to mix those kind of segments in. We want educational stuff where we're trying to educate you on what we see, what I see about Brian Snitker versus Walt Weiss, yada, yada, yada. But we want to have segments where it's interactive as well. So it was a really good conversation. In case you missed it, go back on the free Odyssey app. I also have it on the fanupstate.com here shortly. You can go to the fanupstate.com podcasting. If you just tuned in, though, it's a video from a player who hit a home run, threw his bat down, ran around the bases, celebrated, slam dunked at home plate, and boy, did it spark the conversation. I do think, though, ultimately what I took away from our phone calls and our text, I appreciate all of them, and I appreciate all of them being listeners and Tolos, but I do think ultimately where I land is it's a bipartisan fact, in my opinion, that we should all agree, Diesel, that what we don't like about it is what Matt from Ohio said is in the fact that, or in the sense of it takes away, regardless of if you like it, have a problem with it, don't have a problem with it, it takes away from the kid hitting a home run, and that's what I hate most.
Yeah, and we had a texter say, well, you guys don't have kids, so you don't really understand. One of these days you'll have kids and you may think differently about it. I can tell you flat out, I know I don't have a teenage kid. I don't have kids right now. But if I do have a son and he behaves that way, I am coming out of those stands. I am grabbing him up by his jersey. I am walking him out of that stadium, and I'm taking his ass home. Yeah. I am never, ever going to be the type of parent that would tolerate that. Ever. And then I would rip that coach a new one. Yeah. How dare you teach my son to behave that way in public? Because, look, I know this sparks a different kind of debate here, Cole. I have what some people would deem a military asset kind of dog. I have an 80-pound Doberman that many people look at as scary dogs. Police use them, militaries use them, people use them for protection. I train my dog. I have trained my dog, and I continue to train my dog while he's young and impulsive so that when he's an adult, he doesn't behave the way he did when he was a puppy. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not necessarily conflating puppies with children and adult dogs with adult people, but I think the principle still stands true. If you train your dog when it's a puppy, it will behave better when it's an adult. If you don't train your dog when it's a puppy, it will misbehave when it's an adult. And I certainly would never, ever, ever let my kid behave the way that kid did.
Yeah, I think so. And if you believe the Bible, which I do, and you're a person of faith, it talks about that in Proverbs, Diesel. Proverbs 22 talks about that. Train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? That is more than just a Bible verse. There is a lot of truth to that. I love this comment from Mac on YouTube. Mac called in earlier. He says, don't worry, Diesel. I will be back to destroy you on future topics. LOL. No love lost. Love what you do and appreciate the dialogue.
Mac, it was you and Tim. You two were the only two that had no problem with the way this kid was behaving. Literally everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm talking a dozen text messages on the stream, Cole and I, additional callers. The rest of us all said that is unacceptable. So you're in the minority of people who believe that it is acceptable behavior.
But I will say this, my opinion, Mac, and Diesel would second this as well. We appreciate you and Tim both disagreeing because if we all agree, it's no fun. Yeah. It's no fun. We don't want to all look. That's what makes like
this is sports radio. It's supposed to be fun.
And that's what we lose sight of that a lot of times just in generality as well. Generally speaking in life and in the world in America, like we have all these different ethnicities, everybody having a different opinion and different this, different that. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it great. I mean, it'd be boring if everybody was the same, bunch of white people, and then they all thought the same. I mean, it'd be boring. I mean, we want different. I love differences of opinion, different ethnicities. I love the conglomeration, Diesel. I want different viewpoints, different ideas. I love all that. I welcome all that. So it would be boring, Mac, if it were all agreeing and we were all agreeing on the same thing. Next topic. We all agree. All right, Tolos, it is the Tolo Takeover, 844-326-3663. If you did not use all of your wherewithal, I guess, in the very first hour. I don't know if you, Tolos,
they spent themselves.
That's right. They did. I don't know if you, Tolos, want to get in on sports-related topics or non-sports related. It is up to you. 844-326-3663. Calling on our normal, usual Tolos that do get in every single day, starting with our daily Dewey. 844 fan phone, Dewey. Where's Dewey? I hadn't seen him on the stream today. Have you?
He said he was working yesterday. He said he was delivering beer. I don't know. With Dewey, you never know.
Oh,
you never ever know what Dewey delivering beer. What, to his liver?
Yeah,
because that's what it sounds like. He always talks about how he's had 30 beers today.
Yeah, it could be. It very well could be. I will say this real quick before we get to the phone lines and before the calls start coming in. I mentioned this earlier in the Daily Wires, and we didn't spend a lot of time on it. What was I missing last night? I told a buddy of mine who was making his Tom calls an investment, I said last night, look, Steph Curry and the Warriors were 6.5-point underdogs last night. What am I missing? I mean, look, I get that the Warriors are banged up. They're not very good. They're 37-45, and they were on the road, even though it's not far. 15-26 on the year on the road, so they weren't a good road team. But, are you kidding me? And I know that was a close game last night, 126-121, so it was just a 5-point game. But you're going to count Steph Curry out as a 6.5-point dog? I told a buddy of mine, he said, if Steph Curry's underdog by 6.5, don't even worry about the Warriors' money line. Just take the 6.5. I think they'll cover. Not only did they cover, they outright won by 5.
It's not only Steph, it's because everybody on that team is old as hell.
Yeah.
Al Horford, I literally heard them joke, who thought Al Horford could still jump that high in the middle of the game play-by-play when he dunked the ball?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
That's an 11.5-point swing, though, from what they were projected to lose by to what they won by. That's a pretty big difference. And Steph had, 35? Is that what I said earlier?
There's a quote. I think people attribute it to Mark Twain. Somebody help me out, if you would. But the quote basically says, reports of my demise were greatly exaggerated, which that's the commonly used version of the quote.
Yeah.
That's not actually what Mark Twain said. It was a little bit different. But if you believed that the Warriors were done and dead and you throw dirt on them and it's over, guess again. Now it's still the play-in.
It's still the play-in,
but
my point is, as long as Steph Curry, who in my opinion is the greatest shooter to ever walk planet Earth. That's just my opinion. He's the greatest shooter to ever walk planet Earth. As long as he's on the team, they've got a shot.
Speaking of shooter, you've seen the original Happy Gilmore, right?
Yeah.
You know that bit where Shooter McGavin invites him off to the 9th green or something like that at 9:00 for a special party that only the
was that the live welcome home party?
No. It's then they turn the sprinklers on him and he gets soaking wet.
Right.
I saw that the official Shooter McGavin Twitter page yesterday posted, "Hey, all you live golfers, join me at the 9th tee or 9th green at 9:00 for a special." He quoted the movie, and he got wind of this before anybody else did, I guess, or he was right there as the news was breaking. But I thought that was absolutely hysterical. The Shooter McGavin Twitter page.
That is good. And by the way, I don't know if Mike Trout listens to the show. I did want to bring this up, just random. No. But you remember a couple days ago when we were talking about, I said Mike's got I agree with Stephen A. Smith. Mike needs to ask for a trade, right? What was that, a couple days ago? Mike Trout just did something that's never happened before today. Mike Trout broke history or made history today. He's on a little bit of a tear right now. So the Angels defeated the Yankees today 11-4. And Mike Trout made history in the Bronx with a historic showing in a 4-game series. They played the Yankees 4 games.
Yeah.
So Trout crushed a solo home run in the 7th inning today, giving him a homer in 4 straight games and 5 total in the series. He went deep twice in the opener as part of the multi-homer duel with Aaron Judge.
2 each.
Right? He smacked a solo blast to start a string of 3 straight homers for the Angels on Tuesday, and then he walloped a shot on Wednesday. So Trout became the first visiting player to homer on 4 straight days at any Yankee stadium.
Wow.
Any Yankee stadium. Diesel, wherever they played, any of those stadiums they've played, he became the first ever to homer 4 straight days.
First ever visitor or first ever?
First ever player to homer 4 straight days at Yankee Stadium.
That includes the Yankees players.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
At any iteration of the Yankee
no
Stadium,
Lou
right?
Gehrig, no Mickey Mantle, no Babe Ruth. Whoa.
So it goes on to say is the only other player to homer in 4 straight games in the series. It was over a 3-day span, though. There was one player that did it in the 70s. It was John Mayberry Sr. So Trout John, yeah.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah. Trout also homered in the last game at Yankee Stadium last year, so he joined Judge as the only players to homer in 5 straight games at the current Yankee Stadium since it opened in 2009. His 5 homers are also tied for the most ever in a series against the Yankees.
This is what I love about Tolos that know what Tolo means. They listen to the whole show. Turn it on, leave it on, because now I am in 1,000% agreement with Mac Bombs. He says the Angels should be banned from baseball for the atrocities they have committed against that man.
Well, Mac, I don't know if you heard the show yesterday or the day before. We talked about that in one of the segments, and I brought it up. I said, look, I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith on everything, but I agree with Stephen A. Smith in the sense of Mike Trout's got to be – I think it was yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Mike Trout's got to be asking out. Like, there's just no way he can continue and finish his career. And you know what's crazy is Mike Trout is not even in his prime anymore.
No.
But Mike Trout still, in 2026, he's still accomplishing feats like this at age 34. So – not even in his prime, doesn't matter. He's still making history. That's an incredible stat, what he did at Yankee Stadium this past couple of days. And, man, it's a shame. It will be a shame if Mike Trout ends his career as an Angel and we never get to see him play meaningful baseball.
33 years old, you said?
34.
34. He's still owed between 180 and 210 million. So let's call it 200 million. He's still owed $200 million over the next 4 years on his contract. They got to find somebody who's willing to take on $200 million
and that's the
for
problem.
a 34-year-old player. You know, it's a golden parachute. It's a great problem to have, right? Like, oh, well, I get paid $200 million if I just stay here, don't have to buy another house, don't have to move the kids, none of that stuff. I might not ever win anything. But like I'm good here making $200 million.
Nobody would ever pay that.
Yeah.
Unless the only way it would happen, the Angels would have to eat a chunk of it. And I guess the way they look at it is obviously they don't know what they're doing because the franchise has been horrible for the past decade and a half, 2 decades. But I guess what they think is, hey, we might be buns, but at least we have a guy who's one of the best in the world that keeps us somewhat relevant.
Because people buying tickets.
Yeah, they wouldn't be a bit relevant. I mean, they just went to New York today and beat the Yankees, 11-4.
I think there should be a rule, Cole, that any franchise that does not make the playoffs once every 10 years should have to sell to new ownership.
Ooh.
You know, or 15 years, 20 years, whatever number you want to put on it, doesn't matter. The point is, if you go forever in mediocrity to suckitude, your owners should not be allowed to own the team anymore.
And you know another question I have? What's going on up north? What's going on up north? Boston projected to be pretty good this year. They're 7-11.
Stinks.
On the season. They did beat the Twins last night 9-5, but Boston's 7-11, and New York after today's loss to the Angels. New York's 10-9. So New York's not a bad team. Look, we know
the Mets stink too.
The Mets stink. The Mets just lost. By the way, the Mets last night's loss was their 8th straight loss, I believe. So they stink. I don't know what's going on up north, but it is bad right now. I know it's still early. The Yankees will be okay. They're going to be fine. Max Fried didn't have a great night last night. I think he's somewhere in the 2 or 3 wins on the season category. I think last night was his first loss. They're going to be completely fine. They have Aaron Judge, but their stars, we talked about this earlier with the Phillies, their stars aren't playing well. Grisham's not playing well. Judge isn't playing well. Bellinger's okay. Bellinger, I think, is hitting 246 on the season. So their guys aren't stepping up. Jazz, you know what Jazz is hitting right now? You remember how much buzz there was around Jazz?
Yep.
179.
Ooh.
179. That's how bad he's playing right now.
Was it Jazz who it was Jazz who last week, I think, didn't throw to second because he didn't know the force out rules.
Ooh.
Like he said it in an interview. He said, I went here, didn't go there because I wasn't sure what the rule was. It's like, bro, you're a Major League Baseball player. You don't know the force out rules.
Speaking of rules, I do have one question for you. Before I get to that, I want to read this text from RJ. RJ on the Joy Law from text line says, that huge amount left on the contract is the problem child for Trout playing for another team. A second argument could be his recent history with injuries, and that's 100% valid. We talked about that yesterday. He has had just a few too many injuries, and that's a big problem. They were talking about this last night on this station. The night show was, I can't remember who the hosts were, but I had to look this up. And this is something that's not well known, but it doesn't happen often. But now that Shohei Ohtani is who he is, this conversation happens. This conversation is brought up. I'm going to put you to the test. Last night, Diesel, Shohei Ohtani pitched for the Dodgers. Okay. He was the starting pitcher. He was not in the lineup as a DH last night. Okay. So he was pitching, but he was not the DH.
He got hit.
So let me ask you this. I had to look it up. So I'm not, it's not like I know it either. If Shohei Ohtani finished his night last night as a pitcher, he's done for the night. Later in the game, could the Dodgers sub him in at DH in a pinch hitting role? If he wasn't originally on the DH card, but he started the game as a pitcher,
can you swap DH?
You can pinch hit, but can you use a guy who pitched? I had to look it up last. They were talking about it on the radio last.
I don't know. I mean, you bring him in late. Let's say you set him as a DH in the 6th. You might only get one at bat.
Yeah, if you pinch hit him. If you pinch hit him, right?
But even if you redesignate him as DH, you might only get one at bat out of him anyway. I'm going to say the rule is no.
That's correct. You cannot.
I didn't think
so. So here's what's interesting about it. If he were to have, so sometimes he's the pitcher and the DH, right? If he's the pitcher and the DH, the way that is on the lineup card, he is 2 different people.
That is cheating.
No, it's 2 different people. So Shohei the pitcher is on the lineup card as the pitcher. Shohei the DH is on the lineup card as the DH.
Do they have to like put Shohei and Joe?
They have to spell it wrong. Just a grammatical error. But here's what's wild about that. Listen to this. If he comes out of the game, if he starts the game on the lineup card in both and comes out of the game, we know he comes out as a pitcher, his night's done, he can continue to DH. He was originally on the lineup card as a DH, so he can stay in as a DH. If he's not originally on the lineup card as a DH, he cannot sub in later as a pinch hitter in the DH spot. If he was starting starting pitcher that night.
This is like a flow chart.
Is that not crazy?
If this happens, then that happened. If that happens, then that happens.
I love it.
Crazy.
I love it. It's just fascinating though, because we weren't having that conversation 10 years ago because who was pitching in DH?
Nobody was doing
it. Shohei has transcended the game. Lefty Tiger on the Joy Law Firm text line says, God dang, I love you guys. The other upstate sports station has been talking about the moon landing and going to Mars for the last 13 minutes.
What other sports?
I was going to say, what other? I mean, other? What do you mean? Lefty Tiger.
Doesn't sound like they're much of a sports station.
Other. I mean, come on. Texter says, all caps, chop on, baby. Braves are back. Huge Weiss fan right now. Was skeptical when they announced him as manager. Texter, 5 from the 516. I agree with you. I'm 100% all on board with Weiss. Earlier in the show, Diesel and I were talking about it. There are noticeable differences in Walt Weiss as manager compared to Snit. And that's no disrespect to Snit. You won a World Series, but there are differences. And it's a good Braves team right now.
Now I just think, isn't Weiss like German for white? Does that make him Walter White, the Walter White of Atlanta Braves baseball?
Maybe so. Dan says, I bet he can if he is still pitching, right? So that was back to the Trout about the question about Shohei, right?
Right.
He can't. I bet he can if he is still pitching. So if he is pitching and comes out of the game, Dan, he cannot. If he is still pitching and comes in as a DH, he can. That's how it works. So if he comes out, if he doesn't start the game as a DH and he comes out.
So they have to designate him DH before they take him out of the game as a pitcher.
Yeah,
they
can
can switch him to DH while he's still in the game.
Yeah. Dan says, I looked it up. He cannot be a DH even if he is still playing. So he cannot be a DH even if he is still. So what you're saying, Dan, is if he doesn't start the night on the lineup card as DH, he can't come in as DH, right? I think that's actually right. Now that I'm saying it out loud, if you don't start the night as the, that's not true though, because you can pinch hit. You can pinch hit. He says, I looked it up. He cannot be a DH even if he is still playing. Maybe I don't know.
Where did you look this up? Was this in a pack of Topps baseball cards?
I know for sure that if I know for sure, for a fact, for certain, that if he starts as DH and pitcher, even if he's done pitching, he can still DH. I know that for certain.
Wow. Now we got to fight. Now it was second fight of the show. Let's go.
That's fascinating.
RJ says high school baseball in South Carolina has a similar rule about the pitcher DH spots. You can list your pitcher as a DH on the lineup card, can stay in the order as DH when done pitching.
That is interesting. And you know what's crazy about that, RJ, is high school, college, and pro are all different probably with that ruling, aren't they? It's fun, though, that we're having that conversation, and we've never had that before because of Shohei.
Called tomorrow, the Charlotte Hornets are trying to continue their quest to get into the NBA playoffs. It's kind of like Frodo trying to make his way to the mountain, drop the ring in, and then he is in. How have the Charlotte Hornets fared against the Magic this season? And Cole, we'll talk a little bit about this weird rule that could see the Charlotte Hornets making the playoffs and still getting a lottery pick. That's wild. Let's talk about that next.
The Fan Upstate.
Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Well, of course, the Hornets are going to beat the Magic and go to face the 76ers to get into the playoffs, Cole. Before we get there, though, before we talk about that, we'll pivot to that in just a second. Let's go to the phones and bring on TA in Gaffney. You got something to say about this Ohtani rule?
Yes, but first, I'd like to tell you guys, I'm loving you guys anyway, but I want to tell you.
You're going to give us $1 million?
Well, I wish I could. I would, because I could write that off if I had many more of them as a gift or something. My accountant could do something with it. But anyway, each and every day I've listened to you guys on the air, the closer and closer not only y'all's bond get as a team in that studio, the better the show gets every single day. It just streamlines itself with you two guys. And you hadn't have been in it before. You don't really pick up on stuff like that. But first of all, I wanted to tell you, you guys just get better every day, and I love it. I love it.
Appreciate that, Tia. People don't realize this, but in the commercial breaks, Cole and I just stand there and hug.
Right.
Stand.
We're
What do you mean stand?
We're close.
Yeah, right. Like Smitty and I, we would fight in the break. Like,
Yeah.
what? You believe that?
Yeah.
No, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Thank you for the seriously though,
Yes.
TA. Thank you for the kind
Very
words.
nice.
Very
We
appreciate you.
No, and I'm being dead serious. So the Shohei, it's not enough to be a 6'4" Japanese giant and to be named Shohei Ohtani. And in 2022, Major League Baseball has to change a rule and name it the Shohei Ohtani rule because he pitches and hits. It just didn't happen before. You would occasionally have a pinch hitter like the Braves used to have pinch hit Tom Glavine or a Greg Maddux. They had a couple good hitters and some other pitchers would pinch hit, but never nothing like we're seeing now or when Ohtani touched the mound in DH. They had to change the rule. So, yes, it applies in high school now as well.
Because you're an umpire, right?
Yes, I'm on my way to a 5A very big game right now.
Who is it? What game, by the way?
Well,
You're not allowed to say. Not allowed to say.
supposed to say that.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not-
give us a
yeah,
hint. Give us a hint, TA.
What town is it in?
Yeah, what town?
It's in Duncan.
Duncan.
You just guessed.
Okay.
It's in Duncan, so you got it.
There's like 5
You got
high schools in Duncan. It could be anywhere.
No, there's not.
You never quite know.
There's only one high school in Duncan.
I'm trying to help him out.
Quite a
You
while,
know, I'm
what you
trying
mean?
to keep him honest over here.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes. So when Ohtani comes out, pitcher / DH, he can remain in the lineup. It used to kill the DH if you took the DH / second baseman / pitcher, which it never really happened until now.
That's if he starts the game as a
2022.
DH, TA. That's if he starts the game as a DH, right?
Absolutely. You got to start the game. You can't insert a DH after the game started. You can't do that anyway. So, yeah, the DH period has to start the game.
But I'm saying, could he pinch hit? What I'm saying, though, is he couldn't pinch hit later.
Oh, no. Not if he's penciled in as the DH.
No, I'm saying no. I'm asking this. If he's not a DH. Okay, so like last night, he pitched, but he wasn't the DH. So he did not bat last night. But what I'm asking is, if his night's done as the pitcher last night, okay, he leaves. Later in the game, could he be penciled in as a pinch hitter?
Don't know the Major League Baseball rule, but
I don't think so.
In high school, you can re-enter a starter that started the game. You can't re-enter a substitute, but you can re-enter a starter.
Have you ever had to consult the rule book during a game? Because this is like Charlie tying red strings to pegs on the wall. I mean, there's so many caveats to this.
No, that's how you get big games. Is the rule book is everything. You have to be able to, because the coaches, 9 out of 10 of them don't know the rule book. So if they see something that don't look right, they're gonna run out there and get in your face. And I'm like, Coach, I promise you, I'll send you a copy of the page in the rule book tomorrow.
Right.
You know, if you got obstruction or interference or something, just something sliding in hard at the base, where again that could be obstruction or interference.
Gotcha.
You got to explain that to the coach now. But yes, again, just Shohei Ohtani, it just has changed the landscape of baseball, which is great for baseball.
Yeah.
And bringing a whole nother country. I know Ichiro Suzuki, he was from Japan as well. And that kicked off this worldwide, because basketball is going worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And all these television deals allows you to pay somebody $700 million. Now, I'm predicting a strike in baseball, because it's the only, I know we're getting off a little bit here, but it's the only sport with no salary cap. So how far can you go? I know these owners make ridiculous amounts of money. Their estimated value of their franchises go up millions or billions, annually. And I just don't know how far you can go with a payroll, or if Scott Boras is going to put baseball out of business. I mean, really, I'm expecting a work stoppage until the owners get to a salary cap.
Sure.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for the call, TA. Always appreciate you. Brad says on the Twitter stream, he says high school, the starter can re-enter the game at another position. That's interesting.
Wow.
And there's, like TA said, TA is exactly right. I mean, this is all within a few years new because of one player. Talking about impacting the game.
Well, they got to. I'm sure the Major League Baseball, the impetus for this rule was, we don't want one of the best players on the planet being done for the night when he stops pitching.
No doubt.
When he stops being a starting pitcher. So they want to be able to find ways to keep him in the game.
We'll get to the Hornets in a second, I promise. Rick and Greer up next. The interaction today has been off the charts. Rick and Greer, what's up?
Two things. First thing, how about them Atlanta Braves? They won again.
Yes, big win last night.
They won.
You better not go back, because the only time you've gone this year, Rick, they're 0-1. So stay the heck away from Atlanta.
No, number two, little boy you were talking about, the 15-year-old.
Yeah.
That was the first hit he had in 3 years. Wouldn't you jump up and down if there's the first hit you had in 3 years?
That is no way that's the first hit he had in 3 years.
You telling me he choreographed all of that without getting any
I can tell you this. Watching that kid swing that bat, there is no way that's the first hit he had in 3 years.
If
you don't hit a home run.
If you hadn't had a hit in 3 years, you wouldn't be playing, Rick.
No, that's exactly right. You'd be on the bench.
Riding the bench, filling the water cooler.
Rick, you're so full of it.
I'm just saying what social media is saying. As a first
you believe everything you read on social media.
Rick, what social media do you have, Rick?
Yeah, which social media account did you see this on?
TikTok.
Rick would be a great follow on X, by the way, on Twitter.
Rick needs his own category.
Do you have Twitter?
Rick needs a Rick Talk.
Oh, God. Rick, do you have Twitter, by the way?
I do.
You need to be you can make some, this social media stuff is crazy, as wild as you are. You can make some money on this social media stuff. I mean, you might have missed your huh?
Do your homework. This little boy hadn't had a hit in 3 years.
No.
And you downplaying the little boy.
He's up there swinging like Mark McGwire. He hadn't had a hit in 3 years.
Yeah. He just put it over the center field wall. He just hit it in 470.
Yeah.
On a high fastball, but he had a Rick, thanks for the call.
3 years that boy been trying to play ball.
Rick's gonna poison the mind of Mac that texted in, because Mac's gonna believe him, because Mac doesn't know that Rick is full of crap all the time.
All the time. Thanks, Rick.
Okay.
God. Okay. You just never know.
Remember, this is the gentleman who said that his son was running a male stripper training course in the back of an ice cream shop.
Yeah, that's true. Dan B says Rick is the minister of disinformation.
It is true.
That is so true. All right, we'll get to the Hornets on the other side.
Yes.
Hornets on the other side after the break. Promise.
Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Diesel, you were trying to get to the Charlotte Hornets a few minutes ago, and a couple of phone calls got us off the rails, which is good. It's fun.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, no doubt. Only thing I'll say is, Tolos, if you ever think, hey, guys, these guys are on topic, yeah, we are on topic, but guess what? We'd love to hear from you. It's okay.
We can move around.
We got
fluid.
4 hours on this thing,
Like
man.
a river.
4 hours, but the Hornets tomorrow night back in action, right?
Tomorrow night, 7:30, Amazon Prime. The play-in
You
tournament
say that.
is on Prime.
It'll be
blacked out for the
blacked
first 5 minutes. They'll plug everything back in. They'll make sure everything's working. Okay. And I thank the texter here for correcting me, because I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I was a Charlotte Hornets and NBA fan as a kid. Of course, I grew up on MJ. I grew up on the sort of the tail end of Larry Bird. I grew up on the Pacers and Reggie Miller, but I'm going to be perfectly honest and tell you that I stopped paying attention to the NBA for a long time. And so all of these new play-in tournament rules and conditional picks, none of this stuff makes any sense to me. I'm learning it, and we hadn't had to do it yet on the show because the Hornets have been so bad for the longest time. Nobody wanted to talk about the NBA, but we're here now. All right, we're making an effort to talk about the Charlotte Hornets and the NBA, and the texter corrected me when I said they got to beat the 76ers too. They don't. They just have to beat the Magic. That gets them the 8 seed. That's right. And the 76ers have already secured the 7 seed in the tournament. So, hey, congratulations. You beat the Magic. You get the Pistons.
And the reason for that is the playoffs start Saturday.
Yeah.
So play in tomorrow night. You play on Saturday, not you specifically, but they start the next day. I don't see, and I don't want to jinx it, but I'm just telling you, looking at it on paper, I don't see any way Charlotte loses tomorrow night. I really don't.
No, I mean, they lost to the Magic early in the season when Brandon Miller was out. Remember, Brandon Miller got hurt in the second game of the season?
They just didn't.
And he was out for 10, 12 games or so, and that first Magic matchup fell into that window. They lost, but the 2 follow-up matchups against after that, they won both of those, and they won both of them fairly convincingly.
The Magic just did not impress me last night. They didn't score 100.
I think part of it is that there's so many rumors that Jamal Mosley is going to get fired.
Well, I'm just telling you, if the Hornets, I know they're only favored by 3.5. If they don't beat the Magic, they don't deserve to be in the playoff. I mean, they got to be
the better team.
It's Orlando for crying out. And I know you're Charlotte, but still, it is Orlando.
The only NBA franchise with less Riz than the Charlotte Hornets over the last decade are the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Maybe the Washington, what are they called now?
Wizards.
That sucks too. Washington Wizards. What a stupid name. Go back to the Bullets. That made sense.
God, you're old.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but I missed when the logo was just arms sticking up. That was great. Yeah. That was great. Get rid of the Wizards.
The only thing that worries you, the only thing that worries you about the Magic is Desmond Bane. And that's no disrespect to Paolo Banchero or Wendell Carter. He's a good player out of Duke, but Wendell had 5 points last night in 32 minutes. Wagner had 12 points in 30 minutes. Jalen Suggs had 4 points in 37 minutes. Desmond Bane last night was terrific. He shot the ball well, 10 of 16, 34 points last night. You talk about plus minus, a stat that shows how a player affects the game when they're on the court versus when they're not on the court. He was minus 11 last night. Desmond Bane was the Orlando Magic last night. Now, they got a pretty good effort from Anthony Black off the bench, but he's really the only guy that worries you. And I think Charlotte's a little bit more dynamic than Orlando is offensively. And I also think, hey, Cotton Knippel was horrible on Tuesday night. Cotton Knippel's not going to be horrible again tomorrow.
I mean, if he can just give him 12.
Yeah, I think so.
15 points.
I think they're a better team.
They walk away with this game.
I think they're a better team. And they're only favored by 3.5. That's a small points. It's a small spread. But again, it's a play-in game, playoff type atmosphere. I don't know what the environment's going to be like in Orlando. I really don't. But I like Charlotte tomorrow night. I think they're the better team. Charles Lee's done a terrific job this year.
Yeah,
I think they get them and find themselves in the playoff.
So here's where this gets extra sticky. Again, here's where I'm showing my ignorance of the NBA. Help me out if you know, because currently the Charlotte Hornets hold a 2026 conditional first-round pick from either the Suns, Wizards, Magic, or Grizzlies, stemming from the Yusuf Nurkic trade. And it would take a shrewder mind to understand this, but I guess it's possible that the Charlotte Hornets could beat the Magic, get into the NBA playoffs, but hang on to a lottery pick, even though they're not a lottery team, because They hold 2 first-round picks this year. Is it the highest value of the trade options, the lowest value of the options? What I'm talking about with being the Suns, Wizards, Magic, or Grizzlies.
I think it's mathematically possible.
It is possible.
I think it's mathematically possible for them when you talk about lottery. Yes. I don't know that it's likely.
No.
Right? There's a difference. Now, I think it has to do – I think it would have to do with the – now, wait a minute. I say that.
There's a lot of if.
Wait a minute. I don't know.
Understand.
Are the Suns? No, I tell you what. It depends on. It depends on tomorrow night. It depends on the Suns. I think it depends on the Suns. If the Suns miss the playoffs,
right?
I think that's what it depends on.
We need the Suns to win and make the playoffs. It's odd. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is. I joke with TA about Charlie tying red strings. It's kind of the same thing. Like you need this.
Yeah.
You need this algorithmic mind to figure it out. I don't have it.
Hey, just go win tomorrow night. Take care of business. Get yourself into the playoff. If you win tomorrow, you will be locked into Sunday's games. You will not play on Saturday, obviously, next day. You will play the Pistons. In that series, again, the winner gets a very
good luck,
very good Detroit team.
Did you see Kristaps Porzingis come in from outside of the 3-point arc to get a rebound on a missed free throw and dunk it last night? It was crazy.
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
Rushed in. I mean, that dude is insane. At 7'2", 240, he went 50% from threes. He dishes like a point guard. We didn't have a lot of time to talk about that Warriors comeback win over the Clippers, but that was absolutely incredible.
Steph, man.
Bye-bye Kawhi, done for another year.
Can't count Steph out. You just cannot count them out. Let's dive back into that LIV golf conversation in the next segment, Diesel. We talked about it earlier, but LIV could be exploding. We'll talk about it next.